like trash guard. Kneel before General Zod, this plan is Krypton. No Asgard, so you be Thor, I'll be Odin, floating, I'm omnipotent. Let off, then I'm reloading, immediately with these bombs I'm toting. And I should not be woken, I'm the walking dead, but I'm just a talking head, a zombie floating. But I got your mom deep, I'm out my ramen noodle. We have nothing in common, poodle. I'm a Doberman, pinch yourself in the arm and pay homage, pupil. It's me.
Hello and welcome to episode 19 of DotA for Heroclix. I'm your host, Hunter Smith, and with me today is Austin, and you asked for it, so we provided it. Drew is once again dead.
Yep. Swagnito specifically requested that his fear of Drew, I don't know exactly. He just said he was terrified of Drew being the wild card for the dial design, so we made him disappear for you, buddy. And I got Drew's chair this week, so I got the comfortable chair.
We're recording 2 days late because of my trip to Kentucky to visit family and my near-death experience on the way back.
Oh, I heard about that.
So we're on the way, and I don't know where most of our listeners reside, but there was a bad storm going across not just here, Midwest.
It blew through.
It crossed quite a few states, and tornadoes and such. I was on the way back from around the Louisville area, taking I-65 north, and we had just crossed into Indiana, and the wind was like super bad, blowing the SUV all over the road or whatever, like the whole way there. But we get to Columbus exit, and I noticed that the sky ahead of us is really dark. Like, it's like 4:30 p.m., and it's like jet black. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So then, off in the distance, to the far left, if you can just picture, you're in an SUV, you're just see miles straight ahead of you of interstate, and just kind of the landscape and just clouds. I saw this very faintly darker color black, like almost like a pillar of clouds, but it was moving from left to right. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Now it's far away. But it is booking it across the landscape. And from that far away, the clouds should be stagnant. They shouldn't be moving at all. Like, that far away. I was like, Ashley, look at that little black pillar. Do you see that? She's like, yeah. She's like, it's moving. I'm like, it's moving about 100 times faster than it should be moving. So, sure enough, it starts to swirl, and I see that little black streak that I could see start swirling and swirling. So we get... By the time that it crosses across the interstate, it starts to turn into a freaking funnel cloud. Right when we get to it, basically, and it crosses onto to the right side of the interstate, and it turns into a giant like movie tornado, right? And the bottom funnel starts forming beside us on the ground, and it just all of a sudden just a wall of just hard rain hits. So we have to pull off. All these other cars are pulled off under the bridge, we're under an underpass or whatever. And Ashley's like, look, there's the other funnel forming. So the bottom funnel starts forming, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to die here in about 2 seconds. So I was like, get your freaking jacket and let's go run under the bridge. But it started raining so hard and got so black that you literally couldn't see outside of the SUV.
Was it like the scene in Man of Steel, and Ashley's like, no, Hunter, don't use your powers. The world's not ready.
It was some scary crap, man. But luckily, the two funnels never connected, to form the tornado. But
yeah, that storm was nasty.
It was pretty scary. It might have turned into a tornado afterwards, but I didn't give it time. As soon as it cleared up a little bit and I could see that I could get back on the road, I got back on the road and we took off.
Yeah, when that blew through, we moved into our new house and I'm up on the second floor. I have my window open, and there's no rain or anything, and out of nowhere, clear sunny day. Lightning strikes a house that's not 100 feet away from me. And I'm in a neighborhood with no trees. So my first response is, everything's turning off. I'm going downstairs for a little bit. That was a scary set of storms.
So, anyways, today we're going to be discussing Lord of the Rings 2 Towers, new spoilers, and discussing Iron Man comics. First, we're going to start off with some what we played. Wednesday, we went to Game Preserve, where we had is it Memorial Day or Veterans Day?
Veterans Day. Memorial Day's in May.
Sorry, I get all my obscure holidays mixed up. Martin Luther King Day, President's Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day. I could not tell you a single date of any of those days.
We got to do a special Martin Luther King Day.
I really don't give a shit. But anyways, it was a soldier-only event. Was it 500 points, I think?
Yep.
And Silver Age, no resources or any of that stuff. But you could play vehicles, but only a tank. What team did you run? I can't remember.
I ran my Man of Steel Everyman team. I ran all those soldiers, the 50-point soldiers from the Man of Steel set, with Colonel Hardy, and I ran the military tank piloted. The team was great. I mean, like, I really enjoyed that team. Those soldiers I knew were going to be good. They have Pinsai on their top dial, and they have a special movement where if they end their movement next to another character named Soldier, they can make an action, either ranged or close combat, as a free action. So they get to run full movement, which is 8 squares at top dial, 8 squares, and then Pinsai at, 6 range, 5 range?
That is very nice, yeah, because it's reminiscent of the SOG Gordon piece.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Except, I don't think that one lets you do an action.
I think, it's only an attack.
This is letting you use Psychic Blast or Energy Explosion.
And these guys have police team ability. So actually they do work with some of those obscure police characters that refer to stuff. Like, I think the sergeants refer to the team ability or keyword.
Right.
Stuff like that. But what I would do is I would use the tank as an enhance. I would move it forward. It provides enhancement to all of them. If it's got a pilot, it can buff their range up to 3. And then, of course, it rolls for damage if you do that. But a 3 damage Pinsai from a 50-point figure is nothing to scoff at. I had some rounds, like, my first game, he was running that Namek. I dropped that Namek in one turn. It was just place, boom, place, boom, place, boom. And these characters that have 18 defenses, I'm like, oh no, I have a 9. No, now I'm hitting on a 15 because I'm surrounded by soldiers that I can see him. It was a great team. I had a lot of fun with it. I ended up going for a fellowship. I got fellowship with it. Me and Scott did. Scott ran a similar team with Uncle Sam, pretty much. I don't remember his name.
I had to play against Scott first round. I played a little crappy Lord of the Rings team. It was a... Let's see if I can pull up all the guys here. I played 2 of the... If we're going to be talking about the mounted units when we get to our main topic of reviewing that set. But the 2 mounted units that I played are just god-awful.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I played Aemir and Steed, who was 93 points. Just not that... Although this guy does have an 18-17 defend, which in Lord of the Rings set is pretty useful. But just overall, for 93 points, you can get so much more bang for your buck out of other pieces. The other rider piece I played was King Theoden and Steed, which is 96 points and even worse. It has a cool attack ability. It's Quake, and when they do, they choose one of the people they hit, and it deals penetrating damage to that person. But they hit for 2 damage and 1 damage after that on a 96 point attack piece. It just was very meh.
I wanted to go against your team just so a modern army could completely kill all your horses.
Oh, well, it did. They did. I brought arrows to a gunfight, and I got... The only team I beat was another Lord of the Rings team. The whole night. I did play... what's his name?
You didn't play Boromir, but I guess we'll get to him later.
I played Aragorn from the 001. He was very good. I like him. I like his epic action was very useful. I played one of the Galadrim Elven Soldier, the cheap little 32 point pieces. I played 2 of these Rohan guys. Now these guys were good with the mounts, the Rohan soldiers, because they can be carried in addition to anyone else being carried, so they don't count towards your carry action. Sweet. And when they charge, they get +1 attack. I use them in combination with the regular Aemir, who has a damage ability that him and adjacent friendlies modify their attack +1 when make a close combat attack, and if that character is moved, they get +1 damage. So if those little Rohan guys charge and go next to Aemir, then they're going to get +2 attack and +1 damage.
Did you run that one archer dude that gives...
That's the guy I was going to talk about, Halder. Halder is a mother-freaking boss.
I was going to say...
He is everything we hyped him up to be, I'm telling you.
That makes me happy.
And this was with crappy Lord of the Rings pieces. Imagine that guy with, like, in legit Silver Age. Like, there's going to be some combinations with him. He was really fun. I had him, the Faramir from the very first Lord of the Rings set, just because I wanted somebody with enhancement, another piece with enhancement and good range. 014 Faramir. He has 8 range and running shot enhancement and stealth. Because the rest of my Halder and my other archer, neither one had running shot. So I wanted somebody with running shot, and the enhancement was kind of just icing on the cake. So the reason the Halder is so dang good is his his attack ability is pretty dang useful. It's damage dealt by ranged combat attacks made by friendly characters adjacent to Halder cannot be reduced to less than 1.
But that's huge in Lord of the Rings because there isn't a lot of Pensai. Like, it's very rare, and there are a lot of dampeners. And most of these characters
and there's a lot of cheap little pieces like these 32-point guys. But the reason he's so good is his epic action. He also has enhancement, mind you. That's going to come into play here in a moment. Once per game, give a Halder an epic action. Choose up to 1 friendly per 200 points of the build total. During your turn, you may give each chosen character a power action, and they may make 2 ranged combat attacks as free actions. If Halder is a chosen character, his power action may be given as a free action. So that lets you choose Halder for it if you would rather him do it. Him with enhancement and Faramir having enhancement. I have these guys in the enhanced ball, and that way, even though Halder's thing is only letting you do 2 ranged combat attacks, it's not letting you do actions. At least the attacks are hitting hard because you got 2
and they can't be reduced below 1 too if you had to.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's just making 2 attacks while being buffed up by 2 enhancements, getting 2 shots off. It was just
this guy is an enabler of
pinging people.
I wanted to play at Gen Con. I really wanted to play an elf team with a bunch of archers and stuff. And I was waiting for that one piece that I knew would be coming eventually that would just make that team. And Haldir is by far that piece. And I can't wait to play a full elven archer team with some good RCE pieces and stuff on top of it.
See, I wanted to run an elf themed team. The only problem is there weren't enough with the soldier keyword for me to do it.
Yeah.
I initially was doing an elf only team, but I couldn't run it. Then I tried a man only team, and I just couldn't fit it either, so I went with a mix of elves and soldiers. It was a fun team. I loved the characters, and in the end, that's what's most important, is that I did have fun with the team. But they were just the mounted units. Those 2 in particular were just horrible for their points. But Halder and the rest of the smaller guys, the Rohan soldiers and Aragorn, they were all really good. Saturday, I did not get to go to the dugout because I was in Kentucky visiting family, so I had Phil run the dugout for me, and I had you guys playing Forever Evil, which was any... I don't think I didn't limit it to universe, right? It was just any villain.
It was just villains.
Any main villain or goon, henchman, and I kind of put the stipulation out there, don't play Superman and be like, oh, well, you remember that one time where he was mesmerized by Pandora's box and he killed Dr. Light? Yeah, Superman's a villain. So, no, none of that shit. They have to be a legit classic villain or henchman. So, since I wasn't there, how did it go?
Well, the middle wall in the dugout's now torn down.
Yeah, I saw pictures of that. It looks cool.
Phil did it. He's a terrible judge, and he caused it all to be torn. No,
I can't leave him alone for 2 seconds.
No, it was a fun event. I went with the Hammer Thor Ultron and my Ultron drones, and Gamma Bomb, of course, because it's not a party without the Gamma Bomb. I just wish you were there to enjoy it with me.
I'm glad I missed it. Now I said Gamma Bomb, especially an Ultron drone.
That team was fun though. It's not as good at that low of a point value because I think 400 or 500. At 400, it's not as good. I like that team because the free action movements allow me to play a little slower. So I kind of move the drones wherever I need them, and I move up Ultron, then I'll just clear him, and I'll just take my time and make sure he's empty when my opponent moves up on me. And then that Ultron's got 12 range, and he just starts throwing stuff down range. Great piece. I mean, he drops kind of quick, and his mid-dial's weird. But, because he drops into, Mastermind, Psyblast, and Special Mind Control for armor, or robot. But he's a fun piece, and I really like him. Top dial and his second click particularly, he's a boss. He's a little expensive overall, but and then the free actions for the drones is just ridiculous because they get to move their movement -2.
He does have a little 12 range there.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good, especially
with a 4 damage, 12 attack top dial.
And he gets outwit.
Yep. And then he's got, 3 clicks of regen at the end? He's a fun piece. Sculpt is by far probably my favorite sculpt in Heroclix. It's just awesome. So, my first few games, I pretty much ran it the same way I just described, where I moved slowly, I made my opponent kind of move up on me. Me and Ricky played a fun game, though, because Ricky's playing the Dark Elves from the Thor 2 set. And they all have sidestep, pretty much, like all of them. So he's running all these Dark Elves, and he has Curse. And Curse can choose an enemy and full charge and hit him. So Curse chooses Ultron, and me and Ricky do this little dance where Ricky sidesteps in circles, and I kind of just shift my movements around here and there. And then finally, I was screwed, and I moved in on him. It was a fun match. It came down to time. It was about 100 points off either way, but he ended up taking it. I went against Scott. Scott was running the Rogues, but he was running the old Rogues figures that have the worst sculpts I think I've ever seen in my life. That Weather Wizard, son,
they're pretty bad dials.
That Weather Wizard is just bad. But it was a cool team.
Please tell me he at least played Zoom.
He did not.
What?
He played a Weather Wizard, Heatwave, and Captain Cold, of course, Beer Master. Some dude in a trench coat that I didn't recognize at first glance. But
in a trench coat?
Yeah.
Was it Boomerang?
Oh yeah, it was Captain Boomerang. And then the Weather Wizard, though, that sculpt is just so bad. Go find him real quick so you can laugh at him too.
Let's see. Hyper Time. Well, it's probably going to be bad.
He's standing on top of a little mini tornado, but it doesn't look like a tornado. It looks like a kindergarten bowl made by a kid out of Play-Doh, and it's just painted really
It looks like
bad.
a crappy, you'd make clay pots in pottery class.
Exactly.
Your mom, you bring them home, you're like, Mom, I made you this more
ashtray.
Ashtray, yeah, that's what it is.
Oh man, but he felt the Gamma Bomb, and with a whole team like that where most of them didn't have dampeners, it wasn't pretty.
You know why I love Scott? Because he's not afraid to run pieces like this.
He's not afraid to bring the heat wave out.
He doesn't give a damn if he wins or loses, and that's why I like Scott.
Yep. It was a fun team. It was definitely pieces I've never seen before, so it was fun to see those. Overall, it was fun. I like the build. We usually don't play 400. Typically 500 is about what we play on average, I'd say.
I try to make it, when I plan out my calendar, I try to make where we don't do the same point value twice. We do 400 once a month. We usually do 500 once a month, and then we do 300 once a month, and then after that, it depends.
I guess it was just because I was running that high point Ultron, it felt like it was more constricted.
Yeah, he's almost half your team.
Yeah.
We 400 is my favorite point value personally.
I'm a 500 guy.
And I think most people probably realize that who play at my events because I do 400 a lot. And we do 400 a lot at Game Preserve. I like it because 300, we're talking about for casual events. We're not talking about for super, of course if we're trying to play hyper competitive, we're going to play 300. But for the average event, I like 400 because 300 events, games are over so fast, just like lightning fast.
Yep.
And they don't take up the full 45, 50 minutes. 400 does, and is almost always, unless you have slow players involved, the match is always going to go the full 40 minutes, but it will end.
Yeah.
And with time with time to spare. And also, it just lets you put more pieces on your team and try out more pieces and stuff. So that's why we usually run 400. But anywho, well, I'm glad it was fun. Who won and what were they playing?
I don't actually remember. I'm probably not the person to ask because I never remember this stuff. There was no note. There was no, hey, Austin, why don't you...
Drew was pretty easy to bump off. So you better watch your back. I could drag out the old Necromicon and bring Drew back.
Nope, we're not doing it. Drew's staying dead. I like his chair too much.
We can replace.
I'm tired of that damn wooden chair, Hunter.
Let's move into some news. We got all of the Avengers vs. X-Men dials this week. They gave us an official spoiler for Scarlet Witch. We'll do her first. She pretty high point options for Scarlet Witches that we've seen lately.
I'm very happy with her.
150 and 100 point options. She has Avengers and Mystics TA, and she has a trait of No More Mutants. Once per game, give her a double power action and choose a TA. Any other character that can use that TA must roll a d6 that cannot be re-rolled. If the result is 1 through 5, that character can't use the chosen team ability for the rest of the game. That's one of the most flavorful powers I've ever seen. Specifically because of the whole she's going to be facing off against X-Men. So she's literally just taking their mutant. It's kind of like her neutering X-Men because she's on the Avengers team base. Everybody she's going to go up against has the X-Men team ability, so she just neuters it.
I get everyone on the forums, and I've picked it up, started calling it No More Mystics, because that's what we're using it for.
Yeah, that's true. I wasn't even thinking about it.
You can name, but the thing is, people brought up you could name ATAs. You could be like, no more heroes for hire. You could be no more new mutants. Be like, screw you, I don't care what you're running.
Yeah, that's nice. So, with that considered, let's look at her 100-point option and see if we think it would be possibly meta-worthy. It would start at a 9 phasing, 10 precision strike, a special defense power of energy shield. When she's hit with an attack, the roll is ignored, and the attacker must roll again. This new roll can't be re-rolled or ignored. That's interesting.
So you can prob them until they finally hit you, and then you could do that version where it can't be re-rolled time.
That's interesting because her damage power is also a special one of Perplex, Prob, and Support.
Which, that as a damage power is kind of ridiculous. I like her at 100 points. I mean, I literally see myself playing this figure quite a bit in the future. I mean, Avengers keyword is always a shoe-in for good keywords. Mystical keyword's an amazing generic. We've been over that before. Mystics TA, Avengers TA, 8 range. That's an 8 range prob perp, which is 2 above normal.
Yeah, I guess we'll see if she's meta-worthy or not. She certainly is not so bad that you would discount her automatically.
I don't know if I see her. Yeah, I don't know if I see her at 300. 300.
Well, I'm thinking we're talking 300.
At 300, straight meta teams, maybe it would depend on what the rest of the team is running around, and how prevalent team abilities and ATAs are. If Trinity of Sin is still a problem, which some people are reporting Trinity of Sin is still a monster with the post changes, I could see her potentially because then she shuts down their Mystics. And then you have a team revolved around beating them, and then they have to deal with her Mystics. But overall, I mean, at 100 points, I definitely see her in larger games outside of the meta.
The potential's certainly there.
150 even, she's awesome.
At 150, she picks up 2 extra clicks. She gets Stealth and Psychic Blast with the same defense power.
And 3 damage.
3 damage with Prop Control. The rest of the dials, we're just going to go over the ones that haven't been spoiled yet. That would be Thor. 200 or 100 point option, 8 range double bolts, running shot, and energy explosion with a 12 attack and a 5 damage, so pretty damn hard hitting.
Dang. 17.
A trait of super strength. When he targets and hits more than one opposing character with an attack, targets of the attack are dealt penetrating. So that's going to beef up that energy explosion. Now notice it says targets. I wonder.
Well, some of these don't look like they're direct wording, because there's 1 or 2 others down there that look really unofficial.
Okay.
So
I'm trying to figure out how that would work with energy explosion. As far as would the splash damage deal penetrating with that?
Well, no, I would imagine it's just if you target 2 people to shoot them, the targets, which are the 2. But I guess because everyone in the AOE is targeted by the AOE or whatever.
That's what weird. Yeah, that'll be one we'll have to look into and talk about later. Which, since it's going to be for AVX, that'll be brought up, multiple times. Wolverine, who I've been looking forward to, 175, 125, or 75 point options. So
this is the most vanilla Wolverine
He has no special powers and no traits. He has improved movement, ignores hindering. He has, for 175, you get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 clicks with a starting of Impervious. I don't know if I've ever seen Wolverine with Impervious before. But he has no movement attack. He just has a 10 stealth, 11 blades, 17 imperv, and a 3 exploit.
He's got blades his entire dial.
Yeah, blades entire dial. He has stealth. He has mix-ups of stealth charge and flurry, and then mix-ups of pretty much alternating exploit and battle fury.
And then stealth regen.
I'm trying to see what I think is better option art.
I like his 125.
I was gonna say 125 is not bad. 75 is not bad either. Charge blades exploit.
Well, we've talked before how I feel about blades at 75 or lower. I mean, this is a quintessential 75-point blade exploit piece. 10 attack, a damage value you want to roll with blades with exploit. I mean, like, heck, if we weren't running Highlander, I would consider running multiples of this guy if I was really going for it.
I'm a little underwhelmed by it, though, overall. I wish if he had this dial with some kind of, even not super good, just some kind of special healing thing, I'd consider it. Because at 75, 5 clicks with just toughness isn't going to last you that long.
True. He's got good keywords, though, too.
Yeah, Avengers, Martial Artist, Soldier, X-Force, and X-Men.
X-Men and Avengers.
Another one that we haven't seen yet is Emma Frost. She has 125 or 100 point options. She has a trait of her powers can't be countered. When a friendly character with the X-Men keyword is more than 4 squares away, she can use Sidestep. She has a special attack power of Outwit with a range of 7. And she also has Mind Control while she has that. And Super Senses and Enhancement. That's how her 125 point. So her 125 point dial starts off very different than her 100 point. 125 points is range, outwit, and mind control with enhancement, so she can sit back and help support your range pieces. Now at 100 points, she actually starts with charge and a special defense power of diamond form. She can use exploit, impervious, and shape change, and she also has outwit with that. I like that too. At 100 points.
I like both of them. I mean, like,
I do too. No willpower though. We should know.
I don't know how much I'd want to pay 125 for an outwit mind control with 10 attack plus enhance, but if I'm gonna go for the enhancement, I'd probably go with like multiples of a cheaper figure. However, I love her 100 point dial. Like, that's a great dial. The other thing that is cool though is she has the X-Men TA, so you could start her at top dial and use her to heal other people, and if she takes the damage, oh no, and then she drops onto the bottom.
Yeah, she's not bad. She's not superb though.
Yeah, I like her damage, her defense power though. The imperv and shape change at the same time is a bit of a force.
I think the only other one we haven't seen yet is Magic, who also has Mystics along with the X-Men TA. 5 range, 2 bolts, 125 point option, and a 75 point option. She has a trait, give her a power action, and choose an adjacent character. Place magic in any square within range, so 5. Place the chosen character in an adjacent square and roll a d6. On a 1 to 4, the chosen character can't be given a non-free action until your next turn. So she is Shatterstar Light, although she has pros and cons compared to Shatterstar. Yeah. Now that Shatterstar's getting changed. So with hers, she can only go within 5 squares. Shatterstar can
be more.
Right, yeah, so it's within range. So if you had things that buff range like Shield TA or Perplex or something like that, then you would get to go farther. But at base value, you've got a 5 range teleport while placing someone with you, compared to Shatterstar's Go Wherever. However, Shatterstar now cannot, the characters he carries cannot be given a non-free action. She has a 66% chance of giving them a non-free action, which is a good way to balance it out.
66% can't be given one.
Oh, sorry. 33%. So 33% chance of giving a free. Nonetheless, you're still getting to carry somebody.
Yeah. And I mean, like, this is a shotgun kind of ability where you lure an opponent. This is a trap. You lure an opponent in. They don't really think of what you can do with that magic. And either you TK her over next to somebody and shotgun her forward and maybe slap them with a good figure, or you just set it up. There's no point restriction. There's no keyword restriction. It's a fun ability. And is it once per game, or is it...
No, just power action and...
Yeah, I mean, like, you could repeat
that's another thing. Shatterstar can only do his once per game.
And then her dial-wise, I mean, Pulse Wave, TK, stuff like that, all the way down.
Yeah, she has a special movement power that she deals penetrating damage to characters with a mystical keyword. That's useful because a lot of the meta has mystical keyword. She has a Pulse Wave and Prop Control and Energy Shield. It looks a lot like her Wolverine the X-Men dial. Not the chase, but the regular one. She, at the 75 point option, she'll have that trait. She'll also have TK, so that's two different ways of getting people.
I like
around.
75 point TK figures.
I like both. I like both point options.
I do too.
It's cool that we have. Before Wolverine the X-Men came out, we were talking about pieces that we wanted to see in it, and I was saying magic, like there was no magic, and now we have three.
Oh, three counting the Phoenix 5 one.
Yeah, because we got the Chase and then the team-based one, and they're all pretty good too.
And see, this one kind of reminds me of the New Mutants one a little bit. Like
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. The dial is very similar to besides the cool little teleport thing.
I like it. I mean, like, honestly, overall, these AVX pieces have really been, like, surprising. I mean, overall, like, all of them are pretty powerful pieces. They're not, like, none of them have really stuck out as, like, ridiculous. Scarlet Witch is the only one I think I can see meta-wise, potentially. But overall, I feel like if I buy both starters, I'm going to get my money's worth.
There was an announcement on the NECA website that they and 343's Industries, who is the team that now is in control of Halo, have a partnership for a new line of Halo merchandise. And in this long article, they specifically mention Heroclix. So that leads us to believe that we may see some more Heroclix, Halo Heroclix in the near future.
Hey, Hunter. Woo! I'm so excited.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'm excited. You know what I mean? I don't know that I'm excited.
I am.
Because I just got all my Halo pieces played and finally got to use them all in tournaments, and I thought I was done and could cross that off my list. And now I'm going to have more to try. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do that's different than what they did, because they did a good job with the Halo set.
I think, yeah.
I tell you what I do want to see if they're going to...
Well, they're going to do Forerunners. I think that's a given. Because this will probably be based around Halo 4+.
Here's what I want out of this. The only things that we're missing. One of being Warthogs, because vehicles didn't exist.
Yeah.
We definitely need Warthog. My number one is Hunters. We need some Hunters.
Yeah, there hasn't been a Hunter.
We need a giant size, like a Kaiju Hunter. Or even like a 2x2.
Yeah. I want to see like some of the morph mechanic applied to Master Chief. Like with the Punisher that swaps weapons. Have a specific Master Chief that can swap his guns out as he's...
Yeah, I can dig it.
But just for him and like the normal Spartans, whatever, kind of locked in their weapons. But the thing is now with Halo 4, like, there's tons of Spartans now. So, I mean, like, they could do a lot of different generic Spartans, and they make sense. Whereas originally it was kind of like, oh, well, Master Chief's supposed to be the only Spartan back then, but they still clicks for him anyway.
There's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Spoiler, which we haven't got anything for a while now.
Disappointing spoiler I've ever seen in my life.
It's Blue Eyes from the main set. It looks like a Chase or a Super Rare because it's 053 and it's a dark brown.
It's Chase.
So it's 200 points, 9 range. It is 9 clicks long for 200 points. It has a running shot and a special attack ability of Psychic Blast and Pulse Wave. When it uses either one, hit characters are given an action token, and any that can't be given an action token are dealt 1 penetrating damage after actions resolved. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So a running shot, even if you pulse waved, you're hitting a 5 square AoE on pulse wave is pretty good, especially when you're giving everybody hit action tokens. So
or 1 penetrating damage on top of the pulse.
So yeah, you're not just giving tokens. You're dealing you still get to deal your Psychic Blast or your Pulse Wave,
and then the extra damage if they have
token. So I like it.
I do too. I'm just upset it's a Chase. I feel like I was really hoping the Chase is.
I don't like that it has leadership. This is the second Blue Eyes White Dragon they're showing with leadership.
I think the reason they did that was kind of like Blue Eyes is like the flagship of Seto Kaiba's stuff, and it does have the Seto Kaiba keyword.
I don't give a crap.
I know you don't.
Leadership. Really?
See, what I'm upset about is they should have made this guy a super rare or something and toned him down a little, then done like the triple Blue Eyes as a Chase, and you could fuse them all together into him.
Nothing special other than that, although he does pick up 3 clicks of Hypersonic mid-dial, which we've talked about is usually pretty useful.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when he starts off range. So he'll be able to stay at range and do his thing. Even if you wanted to stay at range and Psychic Blast people from 9 squares,
range with
and then give them tokens and slow them down, Then when they finally do get up on you and hit you, then you're going to go on hypersonic and get away.
Yeah.
So, and then he goes to 3 clicks of pulse wave and high values on the last 3 clicks. 9 attack 3 damage, 10 attack 4 damage, and 11 attack 5 damage as he goes out on click 7, 8, 9. So
Yep.
not too bad. Not as bad as I first thought.
Just a boring chase.
I am so excited, Austin,
I know you are.
about these new Riddlers. So,
we had just got done talking about this, too.
yeah, we had just talked about how good Edward Nygma from
It's too
Arkham
bad Drew's
City
dead.
was.
He'd be celebrating over this. He'd be shaking in his chair like, oh my gosh, Hunter.
So they've announced that the Riddler and Edward Nygma will be the rare prime slot in the SLOSH, the Superman and Legion of Superheroes set.
Slosh is such a funny acronym.
Both of these dials are just,
awesome.
they're just boner jams, as Phil would put it. They're boner inducing.
And value, as Drew would put it.
The non-prime version is the Riddler. He's only 55 points. He only has 5 clicks, but he makes good use of them. Most of his dial consists of stealth, smoke cloud, and super senses, which isn't super exciting. The reason that he makes him even better is his trait of perplex, and he can use perplex regardless of range and line of fire, but only to target opposing characters. So he can perplex from anywhere on the map.
Now, see, Hunter, usually when someone has a crazy trait like that, they're the prime version. This is the normal version we're talking about here, buddy.
You know what? Well, let's talk about the prime version first, and then we'll talk about. So, yeah, the regular Riddler only 55 points.
He is Silver Ring. That's worth noting.
Right. He has the perplex trait, and then he has smoke cloud, so he can affect the battlefield. And then he has shape change and super sense as top dial, so it's gonna be hard to hit him.
Stealth, shape change, super senses.
He's gonna be hard to hit.
Shape change is the one thing you don't want to deal with in melee combat because at ranged, okay, I can retarget someone else. It's not a huge deal sometimes. In melee, though, usually that shape change, if he hits it, locks you down.
It's a wasted action.
Yeah, and with super senses and shape change, that's 33%, 33%.
I should note that version, the 55-point version, has Batman enemy TA and a 10 attack starting out, so that's also useful. Now, Edward Nygma, the prime version, is 69 points. He is a calculator. It's a wild card, and he has a special trait. He ignores hindering terrain when drawing lines of fire to characters who did not move during their last turn.
So if you're going to camp that stealth character...
Yeah, it's kind of obscure. That's not really what makes him so good. What makes him so good is his movement power, mind control, and shape change. When he uses mind control, after actions resolve, hit characters are given up to 2 action tokens that don't deal pushing damage. It's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, like, you just keep mind controlling, like, some big character.
He has willpower, 6 range on that mind control.
And he's got prob on his top dial, too. So, like, you mind control, like, a Superboy Prime. You go run and smack one of their own characters and
then give him 2 action tokens.
And then you give him 2 action tokens.
And then you clear, let him clear, and you do it all over again.
Exactly.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on this guy.
I can't wait to get completely pounded by this guy repeatedly, because that's what's going to happen.
He also has barrier, which is always useful, and that wildcard ability with the 10 attack, so...
His special attack power he gets down dial is nothing amazing, but it's kind of cool, too.
He gets, I know your secret, Mr. Wayne. Opposing characters within line of fire can't use shape change, alter ego, morph, or morph powers or abilities, which is just flavorful.
Yeah, and then it's also, I can't think of like any instances right now offhand that would be ridiculous, but I think it's nice to have, like, against a scroll team, I'd almost let him get busted for 4 and then run him around.
I can't wait to play this guy. And, I think he's meta potential.
I think he is. I think both of them kind of.
Even more so than that Scarlet Witch, I think this guy has a little bit of potential. With the Endom, especially the mind control, and the prob and the barrier on top of that, providing support, along with the wild card to go along.
Well, see, I like the photographic memory thing, though, because he can be like, oh, did you not move that Batman last turn because you had to clear him? Oh, well, I'm going to mind control him, run him out of there, and let all my pieces pick him off this turn.
That's a good point as well.
And he'll get 2 more tokens.
From Invincible Iron Man, we have another set of non-prime and prime. Now, this will be the super rare.
Prime.
So, Hyperion is the super rare prime and unprime. King Hyperion.
Another ruler.
Now,
We're getting so many rulers.
both of these guys have awesome powers.
I love them both. This one kills hookers.
You know, if this guy was a little cheaper, he would definitely be meta potential, honestly. The reason being, King Hyperion is 266 points.
Of man.
Of beef. He's a slab of beef.
He's wearing a giant nuclear codpiece, ladies.
He has 8 range double bolts. He has 10 clicks. He has hypersonic, 12 attack with super strength and a 5 damage. So he's basically Superman, except I guess that's kind of the average.
He's a nuclear Superman.
The cool thing about this guy is once you get off of his top click, he gets a special damage power of Genocidal Rage. Give him a power action and make a close or ranged combat attack, targeting a single friendly character with a point value 15 or more. If he KOs that character with the attack after actions resolve, heal him of 1 damage, remove all action tokens from him, and modify his combat values +1 until your next turn, and he may immediately be given an action as a free action that may be used to activate this power again.
So he can just keep... Well,
he's nuts.
Yeah, so if he's like 4 or 5 clicks down, you turn around to those horde token stacks, you're like, I loved you, but pop, pop, pop,
so
pop.
let's talk meta potential first, and then let's talk friendly game potential. Okay? Or not friendly game, but regular higher point
friendly
bids.
game potential for this man.
266, so let's say you run 1 token. Okay, so theoretically, you could run him and 2 15-point tokens, correct?
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily need a resource anyways. Here's why. A, he's got the stats to back it up.
Oh, yeah.
It's top down. He's got 12 attack, 12 hypersonic with 5 damage and fucking super strength. He hits hard enough already. He doesn't need a hammer. He doesn't need the bat belt because he doesn't need willpower.
You could take a tank turret with that team.
And he doesn't... Yeah, I'm going to get into that. This was my brainstorming with this guy. He doesn't need... He's the rare piece these days that doesn't really... With the power set that he has and with that Genocidal Rage, I think you're better off not running a resource with this guy. I think him, 2 15-point decent Fear Itself bystander tokens, and a tank turret is a perfect 298. Now, I was going to go ahead and throw a ATA on there, but I didn't see anything. That he has T-Bolts, but T-Bolts is 8 points. But he doesn't need it, because in the rare case that you do pop this guy, he can just kill his own guys, heal twice. He can do that. He can heal himself twice and remove all tokens.
And see, like, yeah.
What you're better off doing with him is purposefully pushing him on your second attack. Oh, going back to the resource thing, if you're playing against a Book of Skulls team, unless they're running split lip and unless they get to go first, which they probably will because you're not going to have Theme Team, he can get across the map and kill him.
He don't care.
He has an 8 range too, so
he's a 16 effective range.
If you wanted to hypersonic, he can get to you before you really get your hammers down. You could push him after he takes his action token, and then basically keep clearing him all the time. Like I guess you'd have to do it when he has 1 action token. So you could, if you don't think you're going to get hit at the start, then you would purposely push them. If you think that they are fast paced, they're going to be able to hit you early as well, then I wouldn't push them at all. But still, the fact of getting rid of, in the same turn, he could have an action token already, heal 1 click, remove all his action tokens, and then hit you. And that's a action. It doesn't specify may immediately be given a close combat attack or a range combat attack. It's maybe given an action.
It could be a move action if
he can hypersonic and hit you for, go back to top click, hypersonic and hit you for 7 damage for free. And be clear for next turn.
This guy's juicy.
And ready to go.
This guy's juicy.
I like him.
I want him.
I don't know, exactly his potential or exactly, how viable that is. But there's potential there.
You know what I like too? He's one of he has the reverse dial I don't like, and we've talked about this before, where he starts out melee, goes into ranged, but still, I mean,
with
you
hypersonic
pulse wave down, running shot, pulse wave down dial, Yeah, and then he's got Pinsai mid-dial.
What the thing that you're talking about, you're absolutely right. However, this guy's a little different case. It's a little better for him
Because he can heal up from shit.
because he can heal from it if you didn't want it, or they hit him onto Pulse Wave, and then he doesn't care if he's base. He Pulse Waves you for 4 damage. So
And see, like, the one thing I would run him with just for the fun of it, I'd get a bunch of those 20-point con artists just so I can have Hyperion punching hookers. So he runs up and he punches a hooker and he's empowered and healed. And he punches another hooker and then he turns around and completely shit blasts someone off the map.
So that was my take on 300 on the meta, the 300 point. Now, higher point games, this guy's
monster.
viability just grows exponentially.
Well, especially since Horde tokens can respawn in 400 or higher.
Correct. And you can run stacks and stacks of those bitches. It's going to be... And you got the points to throw something
I
on.
would take a turn, since it doesn't
resource.
limit how many times you can use Genocide Rage. Just to, like, showboat, I would just punch my whole stacks down and take my whole, like, 15 minutes punching my stacks to nothing, even though it won't do... Oh, wait, no, he'd healed top click by then.
No, I don't think you could do it more than twice. Because then you'd be taking the same free action twice. So basically, he can do Genocidal Rage one time. Then, because of the end of it, he can be given a free action that may be used to activate this power again. He can do it again. I don't think he could do it after that because you would be using another free action from the same sentence.
Well, then I'm severely depressed.
I'll have to look it up.
I think Chris ruled that he could do it infinitely, but we'll have to see.
Okay. I can see
Because if he could do it infinitely, oh, buddy.
I can see either way. I just don't want to get people's hopes up that they, I don't want to say on here that they can
Get
do it.
your hopes up, everybody.
They can-
Ignore Hunter.
Anyway,
Punching hookers all day.
so the Prime version is awesome as well.
Oh, I love the Prime version, too.
Power Cosmic. 275 points or 200 points.
The one thing I was going to say on the other one, I do wish he had a different starting line, too. But I think that might actually be too much, because then he would be meta.
This guy has 11 clicks of life for 275. He has a 13 hypersonic, a 12 attack super strength, and his defense is 1 higher with a 19 impervious, 5 damage leadership. At 200 points, you're losing 4 clicks, 4 good clicks, so I think he's better for his points top dial. But he does start at hypersonic precision strike, which we talked about before, is a combo that I like. Now, he picks up a special damage power as well, but he doesn't get it till halfway down his dial. He can use improved targeting, ignores everything.
Yeah, he don't give a damn about
Hindering, elevated, blocking, and characters.
And he destroys blocking when he draws lines of fire.
As long as he targets a character with an action token.
I like the flavor of that, though, because it's super hearing and X-ray, so it's like, oh, if they move or something,
They had to do something for him to hear.
I like that.
they're there. Yeah, I like that too. As I said, Power Cosmic, Avengers keyword, pretty good.
I mean,
Almost just as good as the other guy. I just think the other guy has more potential.
yeah, the other guy, I feel like, I don't want to say abusable, it was more playable. Like, there's more things you could do with him, I feel like.
Going along with the Invincible Iron Man news, we saw a picture of a chase.
Multiple chases now, actually.
I don't have them all pulled up.
I know them all, though, because
Okay.
I've been following this.
So I'll let Austin talk about the chases, but we're a little bummed.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to say I'm disappointed, but I'm disappointed. Basically, the chases are based on when Iron Man 2 came out, they had all the current running comics do a special alternate cover for the movie, and each one did a take on Iron Man if he had been in a different age. So, like, there's Iron Engine, which is Civil War Iron Man, there's an Iron Viking, there's an Iron Knight, Iron Soldier World War I, and those are going to be the chases for this. There's 6 of them. There's way more covers than that, but they just chose 6 of them. So there's a huge pool of ones we can end up with. Right now we know for sure there's Iron Engine. Which Iron Engine's pretty cool. He's a big silver monstrosity, kind of steam engine looking one. There's Iron Viking, which we have the full dial for and everything. It's up on HC Realms. He's kind of cool too. And then Iron Soldier's like the World War I one. He's got like a big tank on his back and like a flamethrower. He looks kind of cool. There's a rumor floating Iron Knights confirmed now, which I figure is a given if you're going to go through those. Don't know what the rest are yet. Overall, my big disappointment with them is that I've said it before. I was really hoping that they would do a bunch of Iron Man armor sets and give me a morph mechanic or an upgrade mechanic.
That would have been nice too, especially since they did it with Spidey.
Yeah, and Iron Man's like the quintessential character for that. I mean, like, he's got Hulkbuster, he's got Thorbuster, and those are two figures that
if you're going to do that with anybody, Iron Man makes the most sense.
Yeah,
for sure.
And the only Thorbuster that came out was Hammer of Thor. It's $135 now. It's freaking still jumping. The only Hulkbuster was Web of Spider-Man, I think, and it runs like $25-ish or so. And they're not that great. Thorbuster is kind of broken, but that's because it has a specific power that's ridiculous, where it can't be hit by people with running shot or something like that. I am kind of disappointed. Honestly, it did make me scale back. I was going to buy original. Well, here's how it goes with me. I saw the chases like, I'm not going to get 3 bricks now. I think I'm going to get 2. Then I saw the collation for the set.
So we talked about it a little bit last week when we got an email.
And I was being pretty nice about it. And now I want to flip your desk. Invincible Iron Man's collation is Super Booster collation. You get 1 prime or 1 chase per brick. Not one of each, one or the other per brick. Which normally is reserved for 8 booster sets. So this is a 10 booster set like Spider-Man. And they're counting, I guess, the rings as almost a super booster since it's an extra add-on thing. But basically they're collating.
I'll tell you what they're counting, Austin. They're counting our money in their pockets.
That's exactly what they're doing.
That's what they're counting.
All I know is when I saw the collation, I was like, I don't even know if I want to buy any of this set now.
I am not buying any of it, and we're not going to turn this into the infamous episode 1 rant.
We need to do that one of these times, though. I want to go off.
I'm not quite steamed enough to go on a rant like that.
Buddy, I had 3 bricks. I was going to get 3 bricks.
Well, you know what, though? That shows you that they lose money from intelligent consumers by doing shit, by getting greedy, by throwing off SKUs that absolutely did not need changed, by going away from the way things have always been and making it so blatantly freaking obvious that it's for no reason. It's not because you have a distribution issue. It's not for this issue or that issue. It's to make money.
And it's not just that. If these were chases that they knew would be high demand chases, like let's say they went Hulkbuster, Thorbuster, maybe I would still be fine with that. But these are chases that are generic. They're cool, but they're not like... They don't have comic backgrounds or stories. They're just there.
See, I don't care what they are. My beef is with... I don't care if this was... I can't say Teen Titans because we just had to. I don't care if it was Fantastic Four set. And they were like chases that I wanted. They were some kind of weird...
It was Franklin Richards on top of Galactus.
Oh my God.
I don't buy a case for
I don't care what it is. I would not buy it. I'm not going to buy product, single booster, or 5-figure booster sets. I'm never going to buy boosters if the collation is like that. It's so stupid.
The prime shouldn't count as a chase.
You're doubling the number of primes effectively, but we've already talked about that. But actually worse, because you got the damn super rare prime. Primes themselves are a good idea, but why do they have to take up a chase slot?
For mediocre chases on top of it. That's just salt in the wound.
And then you take the fact that there's 19 commons and 19 uncommons. Then don't use the fucking word common and uncommon because you're totally using it incorrectly. Yeah. No, you have 38 figures.
Yeah.
The best thing people can do is vote with their wallets, though. I mean, that's what you're doing, and that's what I'm doing. You know, I bought Mage Knight and I bought Lord of the Rings because the distributions were better, especially on Mage Knight. You know, and the sets were high quality. The sculpts, we're going to talk about Mage Knight next week. The sculpts were high quality.
Man. I love those sculpts.
The distribution was perfect. All the commons were generics, and all the rares were the faction leaders.
Yep.
And, you know, when they put out sets like that, I spent $300 on Lord of the Rings and Mage Knight clicks, you know? Whenever they put out sets like Invincible Iron Man and like Wolverine, where they're making the collation worse and worse and worse, I'm not going to buy it. I'm sorry. And I hope that other people who feel the same way just can not outright buy boosters. I mean, you're better off going to the freaking secondary market and getting this shit.
And it's like Wolverine and stuff like that, and Teen Titans. It's like, okay, there's super boosters, maybe. I was like, I don't like it. I can understand it a little bit. They're still money grabbing. However, when you're going with a 10 booster set and the only gimmick is the rings, which the rings are already going to sell a lot of boosters. That's a given. Like 1 in 4 boosters is 1 ring. You need 9 rings.
I was going to bring it up in a minute. They're lucky they're doing the rings in this set, or this would be a bomb of a set. Like, for them selling wise. It would not sell. You know why it's going to sell, though? A is the rings. B is the fact that it's coming out with AVX, and they just put up the stipulation that you're supposed to do sealed when you do AVX.
Yeah.
So therefore, they will move this set. Yeah. Before, if they do this collation and these shitty chases, and there's not a whole lot of diehard Iron Man, damn sure not as many as there are X-Men fans. Like X-Men,
and even then, as an Iron Man fan, most of this set isn't even related to Iron Man.
But I know, but what I'm saying is people are not psyched about this set. They're not. The average guy I talk to does not give a crap.
I'm the only person I know that was planning on buying it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a crap about this set. If we didn't have to buy it for the rings and for the AVX, then this set would not sell well because of the distribution and because of the subject matter.
Yeah, the distribution is just the last nail in the coffin.
They're lucky that they had those two things going for it, or this set would sell less than half of what Wolverine sold. And Wolverine only sold because of the characters that were in it, not because of the distribution.
And see, and that was kind of my other beef. I mean, I understand people like unclicked characters and whatever. It's an Iron Man set. Sure, some unclicked characters would be cool. I would like a large amount of them to be unclicked characters, but I feel like for it, probably the same deal you had with Wolverine and the X-Men to a point. For an Invincible Iron Man set, I'm getting 1 War Machine, 1 Iron Man, not counting the chases really, and I'm mostly getting a bunch of characters that either are Silver Age characters that I don't really care for, or they're side teams like Alpha Flight, stuff like that, once again, I don't really care for. And as an Iron Man fan, I don't really understand why some of these characters got kind of crammed in here. I almost feel like the set is all Wrecking Crew, stuff like that, all these characters that I don't know where they should go. Let's just put them in the Iron Man set.
Well, and that's just your...
That's just you.
Yeah, that's just you partially as far as the characters, but I just want to put it out there that guys, things, if you feel the same, if you're happy about this, then by all means go out and buy, I want you to get the figures that you want and be happy about it. But if you kind of, I hate when people get mad, and this doesn't always only pertain to Heroclix, it pertains to certain games or whatever. Yeah. When people bitch about something, like prime example, Call of Duty.
Yep.
You hear everybody and their mom, oh man, they keep reprinting these Call of Duties and they don't ever change anything. The same guy will buy it on day one and be waiting at midnight and play it for a week and then be bored of it. Vote with your freaking wallets. Nothing is going to change if you keep giving the company your money, because then they look at their figures and they're like, oh, people love when we give them less chases and worse pieces for them.
Yeah, I think big time with this set. If you're not happy with this collation, guys, suck it up. Don't buy your bricks or your case or whatever you might have bought before, and definitely go on HC Realms and make your voice be heard here, because WizKids has been paying attention lately. They've been posting in some stuff on there. They really need to know that this is not tolerable. I mean, like, it's barely... I wouldn't even say it's tolerable in Super Booster sets with this kind of collation. But this is a joke for a 10 booster set to have this kind of setup.
Again, I'm not trying to...
turn this into the first episode.
We're not trying to incite a riot and start a freaking revolution. I'm just saying... people need to realize nothing's going to change if you don't vote with your wallets, no matter whether it's this set, this Heroclix, or whether it's other things. Real quick, though, we have more Invincible Iron Man spoilers to talk about.
I do like the rest of the spoilers.
Go ahead and talk about this guy.
So we got our Ezekiel Stain, finally, Ironmonger 2.0, which is the son of Obadiah Stain. He has Armor, Hammer Industries, Mandarin's Minion, and Scientist, which scientists are always good. He's 135 points, 7 range, 1 bolt. He has a special trait, Rewire You for Explosives. When a friendly character is KO'd by an opponent's attack, you may deal 1 penetrating damage to each opposing character adjacent to that character. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pretty dang good.
See, I didn't even consider what you brought up earlier with Horde tokens, because I was just thinking, I'm going to play it on zombies, this will be so much fun.
Yeah, I think you run this guy with a stack of
Plasticity, mud golems.
You could run it with 3-point bystander tokens just to get
that reporter is a bomb. Oh gosh, you know I'm going to do that for a team now. I'm going to run a bunch of those Fear Itself
strap
tokens.
C4 to every civilian that runs by you.
And then he's got a special damage power, which I was talking to Hunter about. This is probably my favorite. This is a really good flavor one. You're an imitator, not an innovator. If an opposing character within range and line of fire of him can use Outwit or Perplex, he can use that power until your next turn, and this power can't be countered. Which in the comics, Tony says that to him directly because he's always using either his father's inventions or Tony's inventions or someone else's. He's never come up with his own stuff.
And we're going to be talking about that storyline of Invincible Iron Man later today.
Wait.
They also have dials for some of the other main set pieces of Invincible Iron Man. We're not going to go over each of these because we will be... this week we're talking about Lord of the Rings. Next week we're doing Mage Knight. And the week after we'll be doing Invincible Iron Man.
Can I point out some favorites, though?
And we'll also be doing our sealed episodes where we talk about the best sealed pieces for Invincible Iron Man.
Okay. The Scarecrow right there, though, he has a Crow token as a... not a horde token, a bystander token.
Mm-hmm.
It has a special trait where if it hits somebody with an attack, just hits, they have to drop any relic they have in his square.
Nice.
There's a rescue farther ahead, I think. And
it flies and has poison, too.
Yeah. The Scarecrow's pretty cool. Let's see, what else is there? There's a Happy Hogan that turns into Freak. Go back to Happy Hogan. If this is... I think he's the one that has... Stark's Chauffeur. Characters named Iron Man or Tony Stark modify their speed and range value by +1 when they are within 8 squares of Happy Hogan. When he is the pilot of a vehicle, modify the vehicle's defense by 1. Yeah, they're all pretty cool. I mean, like the main set rescue is pretty cool. I think actually we went over her. I think they spoiled her. Oh, Controller. I've been talking with a few people about. He is an 8-range mind control piece. He has a special trait called Slave Discs. When an opposing character takes damage from Controller's close combat attack, mark that character with a Slave Disc token. Controller modifies its combat values by +1 and possesses an additional bolt for each opposing character on the map with a Slave Disc. His movement power is he can use mind control and isn't dealt unavoidable damage from it. He can use it as a free action, and when he does, he may only target opposing characters marked with a Slave Disc token. So there's some fun shenanigans we've been talking about with him. He's got some cool abilities. There's a Blizzard. There's a Milter. The Mandarin, the Dreadnought, and all that. The Juggernaut.
Jugs.
He's a straight French vanilla. He's nothing but a normal powers and improved movement.
Which I'm kind of bummed about.
We
don't get Juggernauts that often. I want him to... He does run through, ignores characters and blocking terrain on movement at least, but...
And he's got like 50 keywords.
Yeah, I just wish... He kind of has a Hulk dial. It's not a bad dial. It's 115... It's an excellent sealed dial. It's 115 points. Starts off sidestep and super strength and toughness, but as he goes further down his dial, he gets better offensively and defensively.
You know what that makes a good dial for? Some sort of revert.
He goes from toughness to invul, and then from invul to impervious, and he goes from sidestep to charge to flurry, and his attack values go up too.
Some sort of curse that might revert into him and drop the hammer in his square, and he gets a bonus to pick it up.
There's a Pepper alter ego and a rescue.
The Pepper alter ego is cool because if she's adjacent to an Iron Man or Tony, they don't take penetrating damage from characters 150 or less, or can't be targeted by Pinsai or Mind Control. Go back to the Extremist Tony. He's pretty cool too. He's got Mind Control and Stealth, and he can use Mind Control but can only target a single friendly character with armor or robot key. Oh, he can only target a character with robot or armor, and he may target friendly characters. So, like, we've been over how good friendly Mind Controls are, Hunter. He's no mole man.
But may target friendly. Yeah, so he can target friendlies with armor or robot.
Yeah, and then he himself has a solid dial, too. He's a Perplex Outwitter back and forth.
He has a stop click.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crimson Cowl, I'm just going to mention the ones we...
Oh, new Iron Man War Machine duo.
I'm just going to mention the ones that we haven't talked about, because like I said, we're going to review all of these individually. There's a new War Machine, 125 points. There's the duo at 265. There's another new Iron Machine. Absorbing Man is a
Oh no,
LE.
that's the LE Absorbing Man.
A different Chameleon Iron Man suit LE, and a Bethany Cabe LE.
Oh, they did do a Bethany Cabe. I remember when I said that I wanted a Bethany Cabe figure and I didn't think they'd actually do one?
I think we've seen the rest of these guys. Count Nefaria we haven't seen yet. They did a lot. They gave the Magi a lot of love in this set. Yeah. So I'll post those pictures. I'll link those to the website, to the podcast, so you guys can see them. They also announced that there's going to be a Dota 2 starter set, which we kind of already knew. They showed off all the sculpts. They look great, which we talked about. Man. We saw these guys at Gen Con, and we said they all looked great, especially the Witch Doctor.
Yeah, I especially can't wait for the Radiant starter set. The map is awesome.
I was going to say, this map is pretty dang sick. It's a square map. It's a 24 by 24, and all kinds of different kinds of elevation on it. You can see this on Heroclix.com on the main page. If
you're a Dota 2 player, like, the map is perfect to the in-game map.
And they spoiled the dial for the Witch Doctor. These guys are going to have epic actions. Give him a ranged combat action that deals no damage and targets a single opposing character. If the attack hits, he may make an additional ranged combat attack that deal no damage against the same target until he misses. Each of these additional attacks cannot be evaded, but modify the target's defense value by +1 for each attack. And he only has a 10 attack and no prop control. After actions resolve, deal damage to the target equal to Witch Doctor's damage value +1 for each additional attack that hit. If any successful attack roll was doubles during this action, that attack generates knockback. So it's a little confusing, but basically... You give him a power action. He makes a ranged combat action that doesn't do any damage at the start. And then if he hits, he can continue to try to attack. However, you're not dealing damage each time you're hit. You're just counting how many times you hit. They can't be evaded, so the target won't get super senses. So you'll get to keep... It's a little easier to keep hitting, but they get +1 defense every time. That'd be rule of 3, so they could go up to +3. But if you could somehow get his attack high enough...
That's 4 damage.
You could hit pretty hard. Well, another thing to note is you're dealing damage equal to his damage value +1 for each time you hit. But that's also going to be rule of 3, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, so his maximum...
So the hardest he can hit is 4 damage. So he's actually not all that great, I don't think, for 100 points.
I almost wish it didn't generate knockback, too, on top of that. I feel like the fact it does is almost a...
His damage ability is Outwit, but may only counter defense powers. When he does, after actions resolve, roll a d6, and on a result of 4 to 6, deal the target character 1 damage. That is what makes him, in my mind, the fact that he can Outwit and then have a chance of taking a damage. He has NCAP as well, and that's it. But he's 100 points, though, for 5 clicks
Hunter,
of that.
You're forgetting his ridiculous defense power.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to read his defense. He has a defense power, which he picks up on click 2 and has it all the way through his 5 clicks. He can use Regen when he does. All adjacent friendly characters are healed as many clicks as Witch Doctor.
Now, it's as many clicks as he's healed.
As he is healed, yeah.
So if you heal him back to top dial and it's 2 clicks up or whatever, that'll only heal 2 on everyone around him.
Mm-hmm. That can be pretty useful, too.
I like the way they're setting the Dota 2 characters up, because as we said before, Dota 2 characters have 3 powers and an ultimate. I kind of like how they're setting them up to be, I don't want to say not Heroclixy, but they're more so Dota characters in the Heroclix game system.
Right, they're not just Dota characters and you give them, he should
Pins
have...
out. It's not Yu-Gi-Oh! Style.
Right, it's not, he should have NCAP, toughness, and this and this. They give them representative powers.
Which is cool, and I'm sure we're going to get some broken-ass ones.
That is it. That was a whole lot of news
yeah.
For you guys. Small Arkham Origins and Desolation of Smog came out this past week.
I haven't seen anything on Desolation of Smog.
You saw the little... I won one of the fellowships... Or no, TJ gave them to me. That Bilbo from the Desolation of Smog, the 001. I showed you his feet and the immense detail.
Oh, yeah. They painted the hair on his feet.
but the paint is just a little rectangle of brown.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the fact you were showing me Bilbo. I was like...
Yeah, he's from Desolation of Smog.
I was thinking that was Frodo from the Two Towers set.
The Arkham Origins set we talked about last week, the sculpts look pretty good.
Oh, I really like them.
There were a few people that were playing them at our Soldier event because some of them have Soldier.
There were a lot of people Saturday playing them. About half the teams there were Arkham Origins teams.
So moving into just the tip, this is a basic one, but I had a couple emails asking for a basic, starter beginner tip. So thought this would be a good one. I'm referring to when you're building your team. Basically, once you already have built your team and you got your map, you're ready to rock. Look at your team and plan out your first 3 turns. And what I mean by that is plan out who can carry who, how far on turn 1, and then on turn 2, who's going to carry who. And you're going to have to take into account flight, TK, and especially willpower. You're also going to have to take into account if you have resources or not that require activation, particularly Book of the Skull. So you got to figure out, okay, on turn 1, this character has TK, so I could potentially TK my Hulk out with my Jean Grey and then drop a hammer on Hulk turn 1 if I needed to. You can kind of make little scenarios in your head, but take the time to look at your team and jot down notes of plans of attack. Turn 1. Legion carries Cyclops turn 1. And Jean TK's, let's say, Rogue turn 1, and Rogue picks up Hammer. Go ahead and have that idea, that plan of attack in your head. And then turn 2, whoever has willpower carries the next guy up. Like, basically what I'm saying is take the 5 minutes, not right before the game starts. We're talking a couple days or a day before, and plan out your first 2 or 3 moves. And
I would definitely say this is one of those tips that's really helped me as a player, particularly because it's something I started doing recently. Knowing what you're going to do your first few turns, or the variations of what you can do the first few turns, actually, it's so much easier than being taken by surprise. Like, I've sat down with teams that, like, either I've had you build for me, or, like, I've thrown together at the last minute, and I'm like, oh, what can I do? And I'm sitting there and I'm taking forever on my first turn, or my opponent will go first and do something, and I'm like, well, I didn't plan for this.
Oh, I forgot to mention, along with seeing who could carry, who has willpower, and who has TK, leadership as well.
Oh, yeah.
Think of, okay, this is my... Basically, here's what I usually do. I make 2 plans of attack. I make my basic one of, this is probably what's going to happen. And then my second one would be if this guy hits leadership, then how does that change? Or if my opponent has a hypersonic 300-point piece that's going to come right flying at me, then how does that change what I'm going to do? Maybe instead of moving everybody up, clearing, and then dropping hammers, I would go ahead and TK somebody out, drop a hammer, be ready first.
I will note the big thing about this to take into account, too, is never assume you're going to get map roll. I mean, like, I've fallen for this so many times. I've built teams, and in my mind, all my plans revolve around me playing on this one map. There's been times I've had freaking plus 11 to map roll and lost the map roll to someone with, like, plus freaking 4 or whatever. Like, you just get unlucky sometimes. And you don't want it to throw you off your game that bad. While it's good to take into account maps, also take into account what other maps you might run into. Like, think of it like in a general terrain system as opposed to specifics.
Specific maps, yeah.
But if you get your specific, go hog wild.
We're going to be talking about the 2-tower set today. Now, we're not going to go into immense detail on each figure, but I'm going to kind of go over... I'll briefly go over all of them. Now, we've went over the spoilers for these.
Yep.
Not all of them, but most of them. So that's going to speed us up a little bit. So if we went over spoilers for these guys, I'm not going to go into detail about them. The other ones, I will go into detail about.
I haven't seen a lot of these, so I'm excited.
Aragorn is the common 001. I used him this past week. We talked about him. The reason he's a good figure is because of his attack power and his epic action. His attack power is leadership, and adjacent friendly characters can use willpower. There's no stipulation on that. No less than so many points. No share a keyword. Just adjacent friendly. Excuse me. Adjacent friendly characters can use willpower.
Podcast.
Aragorn can also use perplex, but only to modify the attack values of adjacent friendlies. So he works very well with other characters. He also has a epic action that works well with other characters. You give him an epic action. Choose up to one adjacent friendly per 200 points of the game. Place Aragorn adjacent to any friendly within 10 squares. Then place the chosen friendly characters adjacent to Aragorn. Now, I used this in our games to good effect. Our games this past week. What I would do is move out my archer guys kind of as bait to see if the opponent would run up on them. If the opponent ran up on the archer guys, then Aragorn and my two melee guys, or my horse and my other melee guy, would all of a sudden teleport over when they started coming after them. So I would choose Howder. I would teleport over to him because 10 squares is a long distance, especially at the start of the match. And I would teleport over to him, and now all my guys are ready to pop you in the face when you thought you were going to get in free.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other ways you can use it as well. He's a good piece for 84 points. Offensively, he doesn't get super damage dealing until later in the dial. At the beginning, he has that attack power, and he's mainly helping your other guys. But on clicks 3 through 6, for 3 clicks, he gets blades, and he has outwit for 3 clicks as well. So that'll help him cut through some defenses. Now, the second one we've talked about, I'm not going to go over detailed, but
he's a 32-point RC.
These guys might be the best pieces for their points in the set, especially if you're playing them along with Howder. This Galadrim Elven Soldier, 32 points, number 002. The reason being that they're only 32 points with a 6 range RCE with a 9 attack and a ranged combat expert, and a defense of energy shield, and when they're targeted with close combat, adjacent to a friendly character with a shared keyword, Elf or Soldier. He gets +1 defense. Alone, this guy is worth 32 points.
Yeah.
With Howder, these guys are bonkers. They're ridiculous. Because Howder has a 17 defend. So now you put this 32-point piece at a 19 energy shield, getting enhancement from Howder, and having the damage can't be reduced below 1 on top of that.
That's retarded.
So you could RCE every turn, get your 1 through with an 11 attack, with a 32-point piece. They are very, very good.
It kind of makes me sad they didn't do TAs to a point in this, because I was really hoping like Shield would go to the elves and Rohan would get like Criminal Underworld kind of, where they carry 2 people and stuff like that.
Yeah, TAs would be cool on Lord of the Rings. Clicks.
Sauron and all Sauron-related Saurons get Mystics.
Hunter Orc is 003. We have not talked about these guys. It's not a horrible dial. It's only 35 points, 5 clicks long. It has an attack power of when it attacks an opposing character marked with 1 or more action tokens, it gets +1 attack. He's pretty meh.
I kind of wish his ability was for each action token. Then he'd be tolerable.
I don't care much for this guy. He starts with leap climb and range combat expert. He has flurry, yet he has enhancement. I just don't like the dial all that much.
Yeah, that's a really weird dial.
Grima Wormtongue is 004. He has an epic action. You choose up to 1 opposing per 100 points. Until the beginning of your next turn, chosen characters can't be healed. There's some play there, but it's kind of going to be specific. There may be some specific side events where you could use them.
That freaking Merry Pippin can go suck one.
There's going to be some specific events, at your venue where maybe you'll be like, oh, for this one, no healing is going to be useful. So you could keep him in mind for that epic action. His movement power is mind control, gives him +2 attack. He is not dealt unavoidable damage, and after action resolve, deal the hit targets 1 penetrate. Now you look at that, you're like, yeah, that's pretty dang good. However, he doesn't have range, so he has to do that from melee.
Oh, he does. There is no default mind control range.
Let me double check while we're reading the rest of his dial. I can't remember if it has a minimum 4 or not.
I can double check on my phone.
He has a special damage power as well. When an opposing figure rolls for leadership, subtract 1 from its result, minimum of 1. On a result of 1, that player removes an action token from their action total this turn, if not already removed by this effect.
Yeah, it's minimum range 4.
So he has a 4 range or a close combat mind
4
control.
is still kind of meh, but
Yeah.
he's not bad for 65.
He's
though.
not awful, but I still
65
nothing to
outwit
mention.
mind control is
We talked about this guy. I like this guy for 40 points. It's the Urukai. He starts with Charge, Willpower, and Exploit, which is a dang good top dial for a 40-point piece. He has a 9 attack and 2 damage.
I like what he goes on to on his second and third clicks, though.
Then he gets Plasticity and Exploit and Willpower.
And gets 1 more damage out of it.
And then on his 4th and 5th clicks, he gets Flurry, but down to an 8 attack. For
A 40-point
points,
minion with 3 Exploit, Plasticity, Willpower?
I like him for 40 points.
Oh, hell yeah.
Smeagol and Golem we've talked about before. Smeagol is a pretty good piece, but only on
Ring Bearer teams.
Ring Bearer teams because of his special trait and his special epic action. Golem is a little bit more useful if you want to throw him on random teams because of his... or sorry, I said it backwards. Or yeah, he's good against Ring Bearers and Fellowship because he has poison and he deals them 2 instead of 1.
Which in this set, where there's not that many dampeners or there's only toughness...
He also has an epic action that can provide the rest of your team with stealth. And these are the guys who can morph back and forth into each other throughout the game. So
And
you have
that's
some
on a
options.
move- that's
Smeagol
a-
starts with Perplex too.
That's a move or close combat action that does
Yeah.
that.
Same as Beast Boys. Ithlin Ranger is not bad for 35 points. He has top dial stealth and 5 range double bolt with a special attack power. When he successfully hits multiple targets with a ranged combat attack and he chooses to deal 0 damage to a target, he may place an action token on the target instead.
So you pop 1 for 2, the other one gets an action token. That's
Right.
not bad.
My only beef with him is he's only 5 clicks and he has no defensive power, so he gets smoked. I actually played against these guys this past when we did our soldier event. Randy was running a couple of them, and the stealth was annoying for my team, but once I hit them, they went down quick.
Yeah.
Rohan Soldier, I talked about. This guy is probably the best, in my opinion, melee generic out of this set. Only 32 points with charge, 9 attack, and 2 damage, but his special movement ability is going to buff that when he uses charge, when he modify his attack value +1. There was one specific instance that came up. I had Aemir beside this Rohan soldier. It was against Scott, and he had what's his name that we were talking about earlier that Scott was running. Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam, I hit him and he turns into a giant, and he was on a lower elevation. So I had the Rohan soldier and Aemir, and I would use charge, move over 1 square, move right back, and punch him again, and get all the trigger effects, because this guy's pretty good. His trait of being able to carry without count, he can be carried in addition to other characters being carried. That's pretty useful, too, for 33 points.
Because that turns anyone into a Green Lantern.
Personally, I think this guy is the better of the melee generics, but we got some more of those guys to talk about. Easterlings aren't bad. They're only 30
I
points.
didn't know they made Easterling figures.
30 points with trait of when they're adjacent to a friendly character with the shared keyword Man Soldier Forces of Sauron. Modify her attack value by +1. When she's adjacent to at least 2 friendly characters with a single shared keyword and attacks, any roll of doubles that hits is a crit hit.
And that's pretty big for someone with only an 8 attack, because that ups your chance to hit.
And a
substantially.
30-point figure, too. Defense power of reflexes, and when she's a target of a ranged combat attack, she gets toughness. So not bad for 30 points.
Yeah.
4 clicks of flurry as well on the end dial. Doesn't hit very hard, but not a bad dial. This guy I like a lot too. We spoiled him before. He's the Urukai Berserker version. He's 60 points, but he has 7 clicks. And top dial he gets charge, quake, energy, or combat reflexes. And he has a trait that any successful attack roll made by him that's doubles as a crit hit. So that in conjunction with Quake is pretty cool.
Yeah.
A 3 damage Quake is pretty useful. And when you hit him, he goes on to Plasticity Exploit, and then his last 3 clicks he has Close Combat Expert. So
he's one of those few characters where I would consider doing a Quake if there were 2 characters. Like, most of the time if you think about it, like, okay, I have 3 printed damage, and there's 2 enemy characters, one probably has toughness or whatever. I might not want to Quake because that's going to deal 3 damage either way, 2 and 1. If I have a high chance to crit like that all of a sudden, I'm talking 3 and 2, I might take that risk. And it's nice to have more options to use Quake.
Legolas from this set, not quite as good as the other Legolases we've had, but this guy's not shabby.
I'm completely fine with that.
110.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Both versions, the melee and the range version. This guy, he looks like, if you looked at his, because they hadn't spoiled this Dow yet, when I popped him out of the package, he had a blade, and I was like, ooh, we got another melee version of Legolas. No, he has a blade, but he's all ranged. He has Leap Climb, 9 range with 2 bolts, and Sharpshooter. He has Incapacitate and Enhancement at the start with Super Senses. And then he picks up a damage ability later.
Epic action.
When he makes a ranged combat attack, modify the damage dealt to characters marked with an action token by +1. He also has a trait, when he targets more than one character with a ranged combat attack, modify his attack and damage values by +1. And then he has an epic action of Elf Eyes. Give him an epic action. He may use Running Shot as a free action and places a spotter token on any hit characters. When a character marked with a spotter token is the target of a ranged combat attack, modify its damage value -1 for each 300 points of the game's build total.
Dude, that's actually really monstrous in larger point games for Lord of the Rings. Like,
it's kind of a perma-police.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, all you gotta do is peg a character once. You're talking 9 range double bolt, even if you're in-capping people, and then he's providing enhancement, so you have archers surround him, and you're just, I like him.
At first glance, I looked at the dial, and I was like, I don't like him that much. But then I realized his epic action in conjunction with his other powers, he's actually a really good piece.
And the thing about that epic action is, that doesn't go away.
No, he can do that every turn, right?
No, I'm saying once you pay, like, let's say you hit Sauron with it, that Sauron, if you're running a 900 point plus game, permanently
That's what I'm saying, it's perma-police. But I was saying that also gives him unoutwittable running shot.
Yeah.
So every turn he could running shot from 9 squares with 2 bolts and sharpshooter.
So he's got
14 and do in-cap. He could do in-cap on both of them and do the -1 defense on both of them. And when he targets more than one, he's going to get +1 attack on top of that. Yep. Or he can go for damage, pop, do 2 damage to each.
Or 4 damage to one.
And then put the spotter tokens on each of them. I like them a lot. I still think the other ones are better.
I would say for straight damage, potentially the other one's better. I feel like this is one that definitely scales depending on the game point total.
He has more options, I guess, than the other ones.
If I'm running a 600 plus game, I want this guy in a full elf army.
Still, not bad. One of the better pieces of the set. Sam has 42 points. He's number 13. He has an attack power. He has support. When he does, after action trees off, he may use it again as a free action, but only to target a different character marked with 1 action token. That's pretty specific.
Hey, so I was looking for a really good defense support for tomorrow, or for Wednesday.
There's a better one.
Who?
Hired Henchman.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, wait.
That's a 10 attack, 15
Sand
defense?
only needs a 5. Yeah, he'd be better, because the Henchman has a lower
and he's
attack.
Stealth. 4 to 2 points.
Yeah, I guess he's not a bad option. He has stealth and support with a 15. So with that support, a defend with the 15. So what we're saying is with the support and the defend combo, you can give the person you're trying to heal your 15 defense, and then you only need to roll 5 to be able to heal them. He does not have willpower. However, on his 3rd click, he keeps the support and picks up willpower, but he loses that defend. So kind of a trade there. Not a bad piece at all.
I like him.
A pretty good medic as far as only needing a 5 to hit and the potential of healing 2 people.
See, I totally derped because at first glance I looked at his dial and I was like, 15 defend, he doesn't even have support, then it's on his attack ability.
Mara has 55 points. This guy's not a bad dial for 55 points. First of all, it's 7 clicks.
55-point leadership is nice in these games because you're talking a lot of generics. Most of the time it's almost 2 figures per 100.
I just like the fact that he's 7 clicks long for 55 points.
Oh, that too.
And he also can stand around a little bit. He has reflexes for 3 clicks, then toughness for 4. He has flurry for the top 3 clicks, then 2 clicks of blades, then 2 clicks of flurry again. Overall, he's not a bad piece. He has a trait, friendly characters modify their attack value +1 when they attack a character occupying hindering, unless already modified.
See, I didn't see the unless already modified. I was like, that's ridiculous because you could run 3 of these guys. And I was like, oh, wait.
Lugdush isn't bad either, 40 points. He has an attack power of Orc Blade. He can use blades. When he does, on a result 4 to 6, after actions resolve, you may deal 1 damage to a different opposing character adjacent to Lugdush. So the only problem is he doesn't have charge with that.
That's true. I like that kind of ability, and I want to see more of that, really. The Red She-Hulk and the Fear Itself set kind of has something like that, where she blades the character in front of her and slashes through and hits the one behind. I want more abilities like that, where characters are just doing like a wide swing and hitting 2 characters.
Yeah, I was kind of talking about that in our dial design contest. I love when they make a piece that has some kind of power that causes something to happen in the game that is
you
very
instantly know what it is.
Yeah, like it personifies, and it's a creative way of doing it. Like, for example, one of our dials submitted this week was for a character that has a tractor beam power.
Yeah.
And he has an ability that lets him suck in an opponent from so many squares away, kind of like a reverse TK. He brings them into him. Yeah. And like that's what I mean. Creative ways of how the heck am I going to make this character's power represented in Heroclix?
That's exactly what WizKids does all the
time. And I love when WizKids or other people think of cool ways to affect. I like seeing pieces move around the board and in certain effects like that. Lugdush isn't bad. 40 points though. There's better options. He does have Indom, which is one.
Well, he is a 40 points blades period, which is
most of the.
Oh wait, most of the minions do have blades though.
Well, I was going to say most of the minions don't have willpower, so he does have good and bad.
Yeah, he does have Indom.
Grishna is 35 points, plasticity almost the whole dial, an attack power of at the beginning of your turn, choose a number 1 to 6, and roll 2d6. If the chosen number comes up on either dice, Grishna can use charge this turn. If it comes up on both dice, Grishna can also use exploit. I don't know how he has only 35 points.
But that's a 1 in 6 to get charge.
I know. No, well, if you think about it...
1 in 6 and a 1 in 6. It's 2 shots at 1 in 6 to get charge. And then you have a 1 in...
Right, so you have effectively like a 33% chance that you're going to get the charge.
Yeah.
And then like a 8% chance that you're going to get, or less than that, really, that you're going to get.
For 35, yeah, I like a 35-point plasticity willpower. I don't like relying on luck for my abilities, though.
He's not god-awful, but not that amazing either. Faramir, 77 points. He has a special movement of running shot and stealth, and he has leadership as well, and energy shield. And a sharpshooter, too. So he's a great range piece.
Yeah,
he's kind of similar to the Lord of the Rings one that I played.
Yeah, sharpshooter, ignores hindering, 6 range. That's not bad.
Running shot, stealth. The only reason I didn't run this guy and I ran the other one is because the other guy had enhancement. This
Bastard's got pin side down dial, Hunter.
Yep, he has a special, he has a epic action. This is only a once per game one. Once per game, give him an epic action. All friendly characters occupying hindering modify their attack +1 this turn. When you do, Faramir may make a close or range combat attack as free action. That's pretty dang good.
Yeah.
He's still getting to attack that turn, but he's also providing something extra for the rest of your team.
Yeah.
He himself also, to note, ignores hindering terrain.
It's not printed hindering either, so if you had a smoke cloud or something, you could set it up.
Good point. And like Austin said, the last 4 clicks of his dial, he gets Psychic Blast, and he also
I wish
gets
his dial was flipped almost.
Yeah. The next character is Hama. He's 50 points, 5 clicks long, charge and CCE on top click, and then 3 clicks of flurry and a special damage power of Outwit. Only on characters 75 points or less. That's pretty useful in Lord of the Rings. There's a lot of cheap pieces. In an epic action once per game, Give him an epic action. Until your next turn, attacks that would deal penetrating damage deal regular damage instead.
You know who just made his way onto all my Sauron teams, pretty much?
Oh my gosh, Austin. Don't do that.
I'm doing it. I don't care.
That's dirty.
Yeah, it is dirty, and I'm doing it.
In a Lord of the Rings only event, him and Sauron would not be nice at all.
It's only once per game, at least, so...
That's true. Yeah, and that has some potential combos in Silver Age.
Yeah.
I mean,
heck, that first turn, team base is barreling down on you with a Pensai freaking...
Like, oh yeah, you know all that 5 damage you thought was going to cut right through my Impervious? Yeah, no. It's not going to work.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I like him.
I really like him for 50 points.
Gambling is also 50. Not quite as good, but not horrible. Plasticity, Quake, CCE. A trait during your first turn. Choose a friendly character with a greater point value. That character can use Mastermind, but can only use it to deal damage to Gambling. Now, the giving anybody Mastermind is good. I like
Reverse Mastermind.
And he also has Toughness with that, too. And then he turns into a 17 Defend, so...
And that's what I was about to say. That's what I like about him, is he's a 17 Defend for 50 points. You push him onto that, and you keep him next to your archers, which only have a 15 defense, but they get a +1 if they're adjacent to each other.
What's-his-face has 17 Defend.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Who we're going to talk about in a minute. But yeah, that's kind of... It's good because you do that, you pick your guy, you follow your guy around, you let him Mastermind onto you, and you give him a 17 Defend if he needs.
Run him with those Rohan soldiers that you could carry in addition.
Well, they have to be higher to get the Defend.
Higher point value or lower?
Yeah, they have to be higher point value than him.
Oh, is it...
Yeah, because see, he's going to give the person he chooses Mastermind.
To Mastermind. But he can just use Defend normally anyway, can't he? It's on his dial.
During that, choose a friendly character with a point value higher than Gambling. So the character you choose has to be higher than 50.
I'm talking about the Defend. 17 Defend.
Oh yeah, Defended one.
I was going to say you carry him with someone like Theoden or somebody.
No, don't use Theoden.
Okay, don't use Theoden.
We do not promote the use of the rider Theoden on this podcast. I'm telling you right now.
Okay, so you use somebody on a horse that isn't terrible, like Legolas Gimli.
Not
or
Theoden.
Shadowfax. And you carry one Gambling and a bunch of the Rohan soldiers, which have like 15, 16s. You give him the nice little defense buff from him. I mean, it's not bad.
He gets Perplex, too. He can use Perplex, but only target friendly characters with a point value 75 or less. So if you had that sweet spot... I didn't even
notice that. That is not bad.
If he had a sweet spot of a person to use for that trait that's 75, from 51 to 75 points, that could be a good piece. So there's some potential on this guy.
I'm not going to lie. Is it people that share a keyword with them can use the Mastermind, or is it just 75 points?
No, just choose a friendly character with point value
My
higher.
Sauron team's getting better by the minute.
Aowen we've talked about. She's good. She has a support power. She can use support. When she does, you may treat any roll of doubles other than a crit miss as a result higher than the target's defense value. But when you do, she can heal a maximum of 2. Who cares? It's already a minimum of 1 anyway. Yeah. I mean, and so
maximum 2, minimum 1.
I was saying that lets her heal Colossals way easier than a lot of other people can.
Yeah.
And some big point pieces. So she has some use also. Aemir is very good. I used him. I used his steed, the rider duo. And then after the first round of seeing how horrible they were, I started splitting them a little earlier in the matches. Because he is very useful.
Yeah.
He can carry himself, by the way. Aemir can use carry. But his damage power is very useful. He's 68 points. He's just kind of a vanilla attacker with charge and toughness and 2 damage. But his damage ability is him and adjacent friendly characters modify their attack value +1 when making a close combat attack. If that character has moved this turn, modify its damage value by +1 for this attack as well.
Dang.
So he really helps your swarm teams.
Yeah.
And he was a fun piece. I like him a lot. Gimli, we like a lot too.
I was going to say, overall, though, the thing I really like about this set was everyone was like, another Lord of the Rings set, what the heck are they going to put in here? They brought in all the Rohirrim really well, all the Men of Gondor really well. They even have Easterlings they did these kingdoms so well because the Rohan riders are riders. They have horses. They're horsemen.
Yeah, I think the riders on top of that saved them, made it a good set.
Yeah, I think overall, like, I love the flavor aspect where they have a lot of carrying, a lot of on-the-move attacks. Stuff like that is really cool.
Gimli's 100 points. He has an awesome epic action. Give him epic action. He and up to one adjacent friendly character per 200 points can use combat reflexes and close combat expert until your next turn, and Gimli can use close combat expert as a free action. That sounds like one of the once per game ones, but it's not.
I know. So
every turn that he wants to use CCE, he can use it and give it to everybody else and reflexes.
I want to build a dwarven brawling team with those mage knight dwarfs and just surround somebody with them and then just keep popping that every turn.
He has traded charge, did I mention? Traded charge, can use it normally or give a double power action to use it, but does not have a speed value, which is only a 6.
I love the name of it. We dwarfs are natural sprinters.
Which he says in that movie
Yeah,
in the second one. He gets 3 clicks of flurry at the end too. He has exploit almost this whole dial.
See, this is what I've wondered. How much did they sit and rewatch these movies over and over in the office trying to come up with the names for stuff?
Sounds like a good job to me. Ugluck's not a bad piece for 65. He has charge, quake, and exploit with Indom. He has a trait of when he's adjacent to a friendly character, he can use Smoke Cloud as a free action, but can only place up to 2 tokens, and no tokens can be placed in a square occupied by a character, so he kind of throws a tiny little smoke bomb out. Plasticity for 5 clicks, gets a little poison and reflexes later. Not horrible, but...
He sets up stealth easily, which is nice, because there are a lot of orc archers that have stealth and stuff like that.
Yep. Nothing to write home about, but not that bad. Sharku is 45 points.
I swear they made up half these orc names.
Charge, reflexes, well, they're in the book. They're just not in the movies. Charge, reflexes, and CCE. Traded when an opposing character within 3 squares is KO'd. Give him +1 attack value until your next turn. I don't really like this guy that much myself.
6 clicks for 45 isn't too bad, and CCE's never...
Yeah, I guess he's not that much worse than...
To me, I feel like I would have to get him into the fray first. Like, he can charge for 2, sure, but once he's in there, he can close combat expert, and he... 6 range, or 6 movement.
Yeah, 6 movement charge. He's only going 3, and he has CCE, but he doesn't have willpower. He's going to have to push. I don't know. He's not bad. Nothing to write home about. My main man, Howder. Favorite piece of the set. 60 points. 7 clicks for 60 points. The first 3 clicks is where he makes his money, along with his epic action. Leap climb. Attack power of damage dealt by ranged combat attacks by friendly characters adjacent to Howder can't be reduced to less than 1. And he has enhancement on top of that, and he has a 17 defend. Now, in the Lord of the Rings aspect, that is what makes him so good. Along with if he ran Legolas, let's say you ran the original Legolas with the 3 bolts, he could hit 3 people. He could hit 3 people.
I don't want to talk about it.
He could hit 3 different people who have impervious, and they each have to take 1.
Yep.
Because of that.
Yep.
And actually, he could hit one of them a little harder. And then with like a 13 attack.
As a 60-point support character.
Yeah. Then you take on the fact you combo this guy with those 32-point Elven Soldiers from this same set, and he just makes them so much better. He makes a 32-point piece a 19 energy shield piece.
As I told you, I would slap this 60-point character on an Iron Man team.
Yeah, because now we're bringing him. Now we're talking not Lord of the Rings. His epic action is bonkers. Okay. The once per game, give an epic action, choose up to 1 friendly character per 200 points of the build total. During your turn, each chosen character gives them a power action. They can make 2 ranged combat attacks as free actions.
Galactus.
That's what I was saying when we first started. You could make any colossal just blast and do, and he's enhancing.
Can I borrow him for tomorrow or Wednesday?
Yeah, you can borrow him.
I'm running him with Serpent, buddy.
Is Serpent ranged?
Serpent has, at his full dial, he has 12 range.
Damn.
Yeah, his bottom dial, it's based on his fear count.
So we already talked about Howder a lot. He's good. Theoden is really cool too. The main Theoden, not the writer Theoden. He's the one who has Force Blast, and he can use it as if he occupied any square within 6 squares in line of fire, so he can kind of do it from different angles and stuff. His epic action is once per game. Give him an epic action. Place him and up to one friendly character per 150 points of the build total in your starting area.
See, you're supposed to combo him with the horse one, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because the horse version, you can, when we get to him here in a minute, you can give everyone in your starting area running shot and charge or whatever. So what you do is you combo them. You let your opponent come and try to take out some pieces in your starting area or near your starting area, and then Theoden goes, boom, everyone teleports back. Boom, I'm going to merge with a horse. Now I'm a horseman. And then everyone runs and attacks.
Gandalf is 215 points. Sadly, no Mystics team ability. I hate when they don't give him Mystics. 215 points.
I'm fine with them not giving him Mystics.
8 clicks long. Epic action. Give him an epic action. Roll a d6 for each 200 points of the build total. Other friendly characters within 4 squares may be healed of the total result, dividing the total among them, but only if they are given an action token. Now, that's a little confusing, but it's pretty dang useful. So let's say,
Hunter,
for argument's sake, we're playing a 200 or a 400.
We're not even going to stop. I want you to stop and think that it's him and Galactus as your team. You choose Galactus. Other friendly characters in 4 squares may be healed divided among them. Oh no, it's Galactus. I'm just going to heal him all 24.
And give him one action token and make him...
And he's just going to push for 1.
Yeah.
Oh dear God.
Well, he won't even...
Do you have this guy?
Yeah, I have
Can
him.
I borrow him for one?
I have everybody from the set. If you can have them if you want them.
My Serpent's fully healing every turn and ain't nothing no one going to do about it.
The trait is when Gandalf the White has no action tokens, he can use Perplex until your next turn, but may only use it to target other characters. When Gandalf has 1 action token, he can use Prop Control. He has Sharpshooter, surprisingly with an attack power. Gandalf the White can use Energy Explosion when he hits an untargeted character, so the splash damage. Damage dealt to all characters hit by the attack is penetrating damage.
So he does. Oh wow! So he basically has the Pinside Energy Explosion combo.
Yes.
As long as he splashes somebody.
Yeah, he has to splash somebody to make it penetrating. He gets Pulse Wave for a couple clicks in the middle, and then again at the end. Outwit,
regen.
Pretty good for 215 points.
Yeah, it's a solid 250.
I would rather that be a Mind Control on top dial instead of phasing, just to give some options, but I can't complain too much about him. Now we get into the riders. The Warg Rider is not that bad. Now this is the only Forces of Sauron rider that's in the set.
Aww.
He's 89 points. He has ignores charge and flurry. When he uses flurry in the same turn as charge, the 2 attacks must be against different targets. So if he charge flurries, he has to swing at 2 different people. 16 reflexes with 3 damage.
Yeah, he ignores elevate, ignores hindering, ignores characters.
These traded guys. The interesting thing to note about him in particular, as far as splitting and merging, is when Warg Rider uses the split ability or any character uses the merge ability, characters with the Isengard keyword are considered to have the name Isengard. So any Isengard character can go onto the Warg, basically, is what that means. And that's going to be the same with Rider of Rohan, because these are kind of like generic riders.
Does that mean he could split into a different character than he started as?
He's going to start as... No, because of the second part. When Warg Rider uses the split ability, a bystander token named Warg is considered to be on the same click as Warg Rider and can't be given an action to use the merge ability. Oh, I see what you're saying.
So, like, you could have him as some random named goblin and then
move him to a different Isengard?
And then split him to a different one.
I don't know, but you do have to remember that when you do split and merge, the point value thing is going to come into effect, too. I can't remember. Let's see how many points the Pog is. I think they're all 10. And he's 11 because he has exploit.
So you'd have 78 points. Almost all the Isengard guys we saw were under that.
Yeah. But the thing is, to merge them into that, they're going to have to... if you're starting them off separate, they're going to have to be more than
Oh, yeah, true.
That's what I'm saying. He's a pretty mad dial. He's not quite as bad as some of the other ones.
I don't like his nerf charge flurry. I think that would have been cooler had it been he can use Flurry if he uses move and attack.
I don't think he really needs it anyways because he's not that amazing of a piece already that they need to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. But I mean, like, it'd be cooler if he could move and attack and Flurry as long as he smacked 2 different people.
He gets Blaze and Willpower for 3 clicks, and then after that he goes downhill. So he's not that great. Rider Rohan's not all that great either. He is the same way. He's a generic version, so when he does a split and merge, he's going to trigger off of the Rohan keyword. And one useful trait is if no other friendly character is is adjacent to a target attacked by Rider Rohan. So if he runs out and hits somebody who's by themselves.
No, if he runs out there and he's alone.
It's by the target, not by him. If none of your guys are already attacking the person you're going after, basically is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's...
he gets +1 attack.
Yeah.
Now, it says on the HC Realms that this is a damage power, but then on the dial it says it's a movement power. But either way, he has a special power called Vanguard. He can use move and attack when adjacent to an opposing character. Whenever he uses move and attack, modify his speed value -1 instead of his attack value.
Mm.
However, his attack value is already a 9 and an 8 on his last 4 clicks. So it's not... If he was starting at a 10, I'd be like, hey, that's pretty good. But if they would have put him down to a 7, then he would have been god-awful. So they pretty much had to do this.
Yeah, true.
Mid-dial, he gets Charge and Quake, and then he gets up Willpower.
It is worth it to note that all of these characters do have duo attack.
Right, and the move and attack symbol. He's 97 points, though. There's so many...
I'd rather take 2 of those little Rohan warriors instead.
Well, you could run 4 of them for 97 points.
True.
Yeah, I don't really like the Rider Rohan. I don't really care much for the next one, Aemir and Steed. He's he does have an epic action. Give him an epic action. Choose up to 1 friendly character for each 200 points of build total. When a chosen character uses charge this turn, modify their speed value -2 instead of having their speed value from charge. If Aemir and Steed is one of those charging characters, they can use charge as a free action this turn. So they can...
Once again, it's an epic action that lets them still do something.
Which is awesome.
The big thing I like about them, though, is their 3rd click, where they have an 18 defend.
That's really the only saving grace for this piece.
I
agree. Because they start off with no movement or attack powers on their dial, just toughness and leadership. And then, like you said, mid-dial they get defend starting on click 3. If you can get onto click 3, they have an 18 defend.
And see, this is another example of them over-nerfing it, I feel like. They have a special perplex where they can only modify attack or speed of friendlies, but then they get normal perplex 2 clicks after that. If they had normal perplex for both those clicks, they might actually be good. I shouldn't say good, they'd be tolerable.
Yeah, they're not worth 93 points either. Legolas and Gimli, a little bit better. Especially considering that they have good splits when you split them.
I don't care how good this figure is. That sculpt, son.
You saw the excitement on my face when I pulled it. This was my number one.
This figure's so cool.
When I realized that they put Legolas and Gimli on a fucking horse. The excitement.
All of Hunter's fanfics came to life.
They have a epic action. They're 145 points, first of all. 8 clicks long. Epic action. Give them an epic action up to 1 friendly character per 200 points of the build total. Chosen characters modify their attack values by +1 this turn for each KO'd friendly character with a point value of 30 points or more. Now that's not each character that got KO'd this turn. It's just each KO'd friendly character, like for the game, I assume. 30 points or more. So that's pretty useful. If it's kind of towards the end of the game, all your guys are going to get +3 attack.
Yeah.
Basically. So that's one that could come in handy. Now, the trait that really helps them, Stand and Fight. When Legolas and Gimli use the duo attack ability, the second attack deals penetrating damage. So usually when you use duo, your second attack is sometimes worthless because sometimes you only have like a 3 or a 2. By the time you deal with dampeners, they drop to a 2. With late dial, they drop to a 1 on their second part of their duo, which usually wouldn't even hurt anybody, but the fact that it's penetrating helps that get through and helps it be useful. Their attack power is very good, too. Characters attacked by them can't use shape change or super senses for that.
I just want to bring up that a 13 attack where the second swing deals penetrating, So you deal 5 total damage, and the target can't use shape change or super senses. It's really awesome.
Well, they can't. They won't be able to.
They can't target themselves
when they do.
Oh yeah, because they took it out.
Yeah, they would waste their action. But they have an 18 defense starting out. That's what makes them good. As far as the Aimir, we were like, oh, there's an 18 defend on there, but it's on a random
like 50
click.
points less, isn't he?
True, but I mean, this is still a better overall dial.
I agree.
It has 4 clicks of Outwit, then 3 clicks of Perplex.
8 range.
It has better values. It deals penetrating damage on the second attack. It has better splits and merges with the Legolas and the Gimli options. Plus, you got to think not only the Legolas and Gimlis from this set, the Legolas and Gimlis we've gotten before. You have better options.
So many good figures.
And what was I going to say? Oh, notice this 8 range here too.
Yeah.
So you've got the move and attack with the ranged option, which a lot of these other rider pieces don't have. So nothing super amazing again.
But split and merge is a big
better
deal.
than the other pieces that we've seen so far, the rider pieces.
Yeah.
Aragorn and Brago also have an epic action. Until the beginning of your next turn, modify by +1 the defense value of up to one character per 150 points of the build total that shares a keyword with them. And they have Animal, Fellowship, Man, Ruler, Warrior. So you're giving them a power action to give modify by +1 the defense up to 1 per character. So only a lot of people +1. That's not really worth it.
Well, it's like 3 people plus.
I mean, it's kind of situational, but I don't think it's.
I really wouldn't waste my turn on that.
They have a useful trait during your first turn. Choose a keyword. Aragorn and Brago can use Mind Control and Perplex, but may only target characters with which they share a keyword or have the chosen keyword. This is interesting. Now that does give them trait of Perplex.
Yeah.
Which, considerably ups their values, along with the fact that they have prop control on top click. So Perplex and Prob with the ability to carry, and they have Indom as well, and a 17 energy shield with 6 range. This one I thought for the points. Let's mention the attack power real quick.
Well, I was going to say the one thing to note about that trait is that it's even if you chose a crappy keyword like something out there, it still also is any of them they share with. So like Soldier. Soldier is going to be a vast majority of the figures in this.
Well, and you get to choose it first turn.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to choose it before you even see your opponent's team.
You could literally go Soldier for 90% of their team and then pick whatever mystical for their Gandalf.
Yeah, I gotcha. The attack power is when they're adjacent to one or more opposing character, the duo may modify their attack and defense by +1. So when they kind of get into the fight, I thought for the points. This was the better of all the rider options, and I still stand by that so far. I think they're not amazing. They're not one of those Heroclix point pieces that we look at and we're like, oh, this piece is pretty good. It's not like
in Lord of the Rings.
This piece is very good.
This piece is good in Lord of the Rings. I would not. I feel like if their attack power was 1 damage and 1 attack instead of defense, I might be a little more big on it. But overall, it's a good piece. I mean, especially in Lord of the Rings. And of course, split and merge is always big. You could split Aragorn and then next turn do his epic leap climb or something ridiculous.
They have 3 clicks of charge blades and outwit, and then regen towards the end.
What's Brago's special power?
Brago can carry and can use toughness. When Brago takes damage, instead you flip him to the other Brago. So you flip Brago to the other Brago, who has an 18 defend, carry.
See, now that makes him ridiculous because all the Aragorns are good pieces, pretty much. And then if you split him, you have this 18 defend horse.
So, let me bring up something you're not realizing. You can play this guy by himself.
Yeah.
You pay 25 points, purposefully push him, while carrying people, mind you.
Yep.
So this piece is a 20... This is by far the best piece of this entire set. Because this piece has Silver Age potential.
All of these mounts are ridiculous, but this one particularly is ridiculous.
25 points. You get a taxi that once you push it, gets an 18 defend.
Yep.
Give me a break. Get out. Just get out of here. Just go on. Get out.
I feel like Silver Age is going to see a lot of this bastard.
Yeah. And, a lot of these Lord of the Rings pieces, you look at it and you're like, well, it's a good piece, but it's not going to affect the meta, even if you wanted to talk about Silver Age meta, because that's 300 points, and epic actions are 400 points. This guy doesn't rely on
This horse don't care. This is a horse hunter.
He doesn't need epic actions to be good. He's just good. So
This horse is hung like a horse hunter.
Is it meta? Maybe, I don't know. Is it good? Fuck, yeah, it's good.
25 point carry, 18 defend.
It's going to be on almost every Lord of the Rings team I play from here on out.
Oh, you can guarantee that one.
King Theoden and Steed I played Wednesday. They have a cool attack power, like I said. They have this Quake that deals penetrating to one of the characters that you hit. Other than that, they freaking suck. Like Austin said, they do have the epic action until the beginning of your next turn, up to one character per 200 points of the build, and all friendlies in your starting area.
I'm sorry, it's both.
Can use charge and running shot. So like you said, you can use, if you started with Theoden, but you know what? You can't. Because I thought of whenever we talked about this guy before, me and you, whenever we looked at his card at Dugout, and you were like, oh yeah, you could use Theoden, bring him back to the starting area, then you do this and you give him charge.
You have to wait a turn.
No, you can't merge them. The point values don't add up.
Oh, that's right. People were complaining about that.
Yeah, the horse is only 10 and Theoden's not 86. He's less than 86, so you cannot do that. You can't do Theoden.
That seems
and then
like
merge.
An oversight on.
You have to start with him and then split into the other two.
Yeah, that really sucks.
These guys are not worth 96 points. Gandalf and Shadowfax are cool.
The only time I could see that epic action, I could see that epic action being good with, there's a few figures made like Sauron. Sauron doesn't have, he has phasing teleport for a good chunk of his dial and no special move and attack.
He does have the special pop-up Quake thing, though.
Yeah, but he gets -1 damage or something like that, or attack for it, or 2 actually. Maybe I could see a niche role for 96 points in a larger game. I could squeeze him in for something good.
That's a lot for 96 points, though. Or 96 points is a lot for that. Gandalf and Shadowfax are 275 points. We've went over their dial before, so we're not going to spend a ton of time. They are pretty good. I don't know if they're 275 points good. That's the only problem. They have an epic action of Outwit. After using it, they can use it again as free action once for every 200 points of the build total. But again, you're spending a power action to use Outwit on a 300-point piece. So is it worth it? Is it not? I don't really think it is. Personally, I mean, if I'm spending 275 points on a piece, I want to be hitting somebody in the face really hard.
If I'm given an epic action, I want to make sure that 5 enemies can't make actions next turn.
Special attack power, hypersonic speed. That was movement. Special attack power is pulse wave. If the result of the attack is doubles, hit characters are also given an action token. Extremely good. Special damage power of Outwit, Perplex, and Prop Control. My only beef with this piece. It's expensive, yeah.
It says blinding
but
white.
I look at it and I'm like, it's expensive. It doesn't have really good move tech. Yes, it has 3 opening clicks of hypersonic. Does it have good values? Yes and no. 11 attack is fine for 275 points. But 3 damage on a 275 point piece with no exploit, no psychic blast, I guess pulse wave. But you can't hypersonic pulse wave. But I just don't think this piece hits hard enough to warrant its price tag.
I agree.
And not only that, it drops to a 2 damage.
Even in Lord of the Rings, I think.
Yeah, I mean, period.
Even within Lord of the Rings, where lower power levels are usually viable, I think 275 is way too much for this piece. If he had a ridiculous epic action, maybe. But the thing is, he doesn't. I compare him to Sauron or anyone else like that, and it's just not worth it. I mean, he duo attacks, it's 3 then 2 at most. And you have to be already up in there to do that.
Yeah, because clicks 5 through 9, he drops to a 2 damage with Perplex, so you could perp it up to a 3, but still.
His best click is 4, where he has Penetrating Psyblast, 3 damage, and what's it called?
Outwit, perp, and
yeah.
Prop. Yeah, I want to like him. I'm definitely going to try him one time, but I just think it's overcosted.
Well,
Shadowfax is worth his points, though.
I was going to say, he does have a 9 range Outwit. So, I mean, you could outwit their defense, duo attack from 9 squares away for 3 then 2, so 5
I tell
damage.
you what is probably useful with these guys, though.
Or purpose damage.
Run the Mystics Gandalf. Oh, wait. I don't know if... Let's see if the point values would add up real quick. Because if so, this could be really dang good, actually, now that I think about it. See how much the Mystics Gandalf is.
131.
He's not high enough.
What were you going to do?
I was going to make them take 7 clicks of Mystics and then merge them into the Pulse Waving, Giving Tokens, Perplex Outwit, Prop Control. Because Shadowfax costs 25.
Yeah.
But that's still not high enough. Well, anyways. If this piece had Mystics, it might... I mean, that would up its value, but I still don't think it'd be worth 275.
Although I have to say a Hypersonic Mystics would make me want to shoot myself by the end of the match.
Now... Oh, Shadowfax is 45 points. Shadowfax is 45 points, but he also is like the Brago, where he has 2 clicks of life, basically, for a bystander token. Starts off with Hypersonic of 11 attack, carry ability, and invulnerability.
Let's just
That's
stop.
pretty good 45
Let's
point
stop
piece.
right here and think about the fact this is a 45 point Invul Hypersonic 11, 2 damage, 10 attack. That's ridiculous in Lord of the Rings. There's like no hypersonics. You're talking about a horse that's going to go 11 squares and randomly just kick Samwise Gamgee in this ugly little face.
Well, anybody can kick Samwise Gamgee.
But from 11 squares away, running up to do it.
Then once he gets hit or pushes, he'll go onto a dial that has Charge, Quake, and Super Senses. So, not horrible.
But yeah, we've talked about it before where Invul's really good in this set because there are ways to get around it, but there's not many.
Yeah.
And usually it's exploit. So a Hypersonic with Invul is ridiculous.
Only 2 more pieces to talk about, and they are the chases. Now, the only bad thing about this set is the chases are, as with all the other Lord of the Rings sets, are really hard to get because they're 1 per case, and a case will cost you about $250.
That's nice.
Yeah, just so you guys know. So, if you're looking just to collect this, I don't know if it's worth that much money in your... I don't know how much these pieces are going to go. I pulled Boromir. Sadly, he's not that good. His sculpt is amazing.
Oh, I love his sculpt.
He's 65 points. The way the kind of his dial is based around his flag tokens. He has a damage ability. You give him a power action. You remove a flag marker placed by Boromir from the map and place a flag marker in a square. Flag marker in a square. So it's like spirals. If there's already some down, you had to take them away before you do this. Friendly character, any silver ring, so there's no confusion with multiple ones. Friendly characters adjacent to a flag marker modify their attack value by +1. Not really worth it in my opinion.
What's his epic action?
His epic action is until the beginning of your next turn. Modify the damage value of all friendly characters by +1 when attacking an opposing character within 6 squares of your starting area. So if they're in your area...
If they're up in your grill.
Then you can do that. That's also not that great.
And here's what's upsetting me, and this is... I want to say before I say this, the Lord of the Rings set overall is... I love it. I mean, like, they've done some great figures in this set. The sculpts are amazing. The flavor's great. My big upset, there's way too many banner clicks. Like, this is like the 4th figure I've seen where I'm like, man, I really would prefer to play this on its 2nd click.
Yeah. Although it loses charge.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, like, it doesn't
And
pick
one
up its
attack.
special damage power till the 2nd click. It's like, why? It's like, if you're going to build a figure around that...
I think if they take this piece and they either, A, make that flag ability a free action, or B, they make it where he does the power action, but he places the flag wherever he wants on the map, which is how it should be, not in his square only.
Or they made his leadership when he hits it give +1 attack to adjacent characters.
Then he's worth it. Other than that, he's a really crappy dial.
His epic action's so disappointing. I wish WizKids would stop making ones that are based on how close to the starting area you are that are so close. I mean, like, maybe on Helm's Deep
At
or
least
something.
Captain Britain's is really far. Like, half the map almost.
At best, I could run this on Realm of Death, which has 4 squares out on its starting area. And I could probably do, what? That's still only 10 squares. That's not even half the map.
Frodo and Gollum are the other chase. 14 points. and I actually haven't got time to look at these guys yet. It's the only piece I haven't looked at. 114 points. They have epic action. When they occupy hindering terrain, they and up to one friendly per 150 points of the game total occupying hindering terrain can be placed in different squares of hindering terrain up to 8 squares away.
So you just tunnel characters.
So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, 150 points.
It's not.
I guess on a certain maps, because there are some maps that start with hindering.
50 different park maps.
Well, I was going to say start with hindering in the starting zone.
Oh yeah. Krakoa does. I think Krakoa's actually got.
We'll have to see. If there's some maps that have hindering in the starting zone, moving a lot of characters for one action token is pretty good.
Yeah.
So that could be useful. Their trait, when Frodo and Gollum use split, heal one of the replacement characters of 1 damage after it's placed on the map. That's useful too. And they also are going to have useful split merges because you have different Frodo options. Attack power is exploit and poison. Now, what I find funny is that Frodo and Gollum are hitting for the same amount of damage
that
a 275 point Gandalf and Shadowfax are hitting for.
I don't know what you're talking about, except they also have exploit.
And prop control. And they are less than half of the cost. Oh, they're a chase. Boromir was a chase and he's the worst piece in the damn set.
I wouldn't say he's the worst in the set.
He's bottom 5. Tell me he's not bottom 5. Yes, exactly.
He's power bottom 5.
We should talk about Boromir.
I want to see the OP kit stuff real quick. We don't have to go super over it, but I just want to glance at it.
So, I like this piece. They have stealth, super senses, and prop control.
It's too bad you didn't pull them.
I'm going to get them, though. I gotta have my. That's the only piece in the set I need. Theodred is the LE. He's 55 points, 4 clicks of flurry, a couple clicks of willpower. Wait a minute. They gave him Indom and willpower. Oh well, whatever.
In case they outwit one of these.
They really want this guy to use willpower. He
really wants to get shit done.
His epic action is choose either the row or column of squares that he occupies on the map. Modify the defense value of all friendly characters in the chosen square by +1.
I kind of like that.
Depending on how big of a game you're playing, that could be worth a power action from a 55-point piece.
Yeah, I mean, and if you have a line of elf archers or whatever that are already buffing their own defense and you have your whatever his name is, the guy you're totally gay for, the Haldir. Yeah, you have him there in the line. I mean, that's not bad.
He picks up a damage ability, modify the attack and damage values of Theodred and adjacent friendlies, no specifications, by +1 when they attack an opposing character that has not been previously attacked this turn. For 55 points, he's not bad.
Yeah, I want to see his sculpt, but
he has flurry. Like I said, flurry 4 clicks,
55
doesn't do that much damage. In a big points game, though, that epic action alone could be pretty useful.
Yeah, and then there's Sharku and the Warg.
Sharku and Warg is the other. I said there's only one Forces of Sauron rider. This is the other one, but it's in the OP kit.
Yep.
Phil showed me these guys on the other day. They have a trait of plasticity. When they hit a character with a close combat attack and action resolve, they may use Force Blast as a free action against the same target. But if the result of the D6 is a 6, deal Sharku and Warg 1 unavoidable. And it's called He Took a Little Tumble, which is when they go too far and then they flip off the mountain and they fall and die. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
And they're going to be... And we had the Sharku. Now, I don't think we liked Sharku that much. Yeah, Sharku's meh.
He's alright.
So, this piece has leap climb, then 3 clicks of charge, and reflexes, and CC. It's not horrible considering how bad some of the riders were.
I think for 65 points, I wouldn't feel bad running this.
That's what I was going to say.
It's a duo attack.
A lot of those riders were 100 points and were bad. At least he's cheaper.
Yeah.
And he has the whole hit and then Force Blast. Depending on the map and how you can place, that might be worth it. Because you could do that with move and attack.
What are the relics?
Now, relics for this set, remember how bad the last set's relics were? We were very underwhelmed with them.
Are they broken?
No, they're good, though.
Okay. Well, there's the Horde tokens.
Horde tokens. Man of Gondor, 15 points, leap climb, toughness, stack of 6, and strength in numbers. Increase Man of Gondor's damage value by half of the stack.
So they can get up to 5 damage on the stack?
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
However, they would have to be how much? 15 times 6, so they'd have to be 90 points, though. But still, 90
for 5 damage.
Yeah, a 90-point piece that's gonna, each time it gets hit, only gonna take off 1 off the stack. It's pretty good. Shreeling is...
Shireling.
Or, sorry.
It's a hobbit, damn it.
Sorry, I read it wrong. Only 4 movement. They're only 10 points, though. 4 movement, 8 attack, 14 plus reflexes, and 1 damage. A max stack of 4. Shireling can use Flurry and Plasticity. Shireling increases his speed value by the stack. Meh.
So up to...
I guess not horrible for 10 points, but...
I mean, Plasticity for 10 points, that's worth it.
I like the Man of Gondor better. This last one is Marsh Spirit. It's 15 points. It has an attack power when it's stacked, which is 3. It can use poison.
So 45 points.
And it has Super Senses as an exploit. These guys are pretty good.
Super Senses
with phasing.
Super Senses exploit phasing dolphin symbol.
Phase in when somebody has 2 tokens and make them take poison.
Yeah.
Next turn they hit you. Oh shucks, I got 2 more under this.
Oh,
deck.
I just happened to hit my 33% chance to avoid all damage.
I'm gonna exploit you.
God, Super Senses tokens are annoying.
So I like Marsh Spirit a lot. And Man of Gondor, both too good. But no, the relics are actually good this time around. Morgul Blade is a 50-50 chance to pick it up. And when this character makes a close combat attack, damage dealt can't be reduced to less than 1. Yeah. Not bad for 6 points. For 50-50. That's pretty good.
That's not bad. Oh, they did make the Palantir.
Palantir's 15 points, a 66% chance to pick up. When this character uses mind control, or this character can use mind control, when it does, it uses improved targeting, ignores block.
I'm sure we can find a few characters that'll find a
You know how annoying Saruman was in Fellowship of the Ring with that power.
Oh, yeah, I played him.
So these, the last sets were just god-awful. So, overall, the best pieces, I've got Rohan Soldier and Galadrim Elven Soldier and Uruk-hai Berserker. Those are the best commons. Aemir, Gimli. Aemir's the best uncommon. Gimli and Halder are both rare, and not Theoden. Theoden's not bad, but he's not top. Gimli and Halder are the best rares, and then best pieces in the set.
Brago.
Brago's still the best piece.
Is probably the best piece in the set.
He's definitely the best piece. That 18 to
go buy those team packs.
5 points. I have an extra one right now if anybody wants to buy it. Shadowfax is not bad either for 45 points.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Marsh Spirit and the Man of Gondor tokens are the highlights. But the absolute best pieces are Brago and Halder, I think. And that Gimli's pretty damn good too.
I'm very upset though that this set didn't have an int.
Well, they could still do it for the next movie. They're in Return of the King too.
Yeah, I was really hoping. I know this is like me just like way over wishing. I want a 5-figure Lord of the Rings set with super boosters, so I could get my Balrogs, I could get my Witch King on the
I'm down for it if
Nazgul.
it's cheaper than this set was. I'll say that much.
Or considering those team packs are almost as much as a super booster.
As far as the distribution, how happy I was. Pretty happy.
Is it 1 chase per brick?
It's 1 chase per case, which was what I was saying. And this is an expensive set when you consider the rider packs are MSRP $10. I did get great distribution on the rider packs. I opened. Let's see, how many riders are there? Is there 10? Or
8.
6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, there's only 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. There's 7 different riders. Out of 12 packs, I got 2 of each. Like, I didn't get one where I got a ton of them. I got 2 of each on all of them, and then 1 of somebody I can't remember.
Nice.
So, good distribution on the rider packs. Good distribution on the pieces. Most of the commons are generic pieces. Most of the uncommons are generic pieces. And, yeah, the only complaint being the chases should have been 1 per brick. At least there's only 2 chases to collect instead of like 4 out of a set this small.
Yeah.
So yeah, as far as sculpting, the sculpting's not bad. It's not exceptional, but it's definitely not bad. I'd just say it's average. The sculpts on the riders are really cool. They did
overall
pretty
though,
good detail.
I honestly say, like, there were a lot of figures in this set I picked up, and I was like, wow, that looks really cool. And once again, I'm very sad. The Boromir looks awesome. Like, that sculpt is great.
Yeah, he does look
The
cool.
detail in the Gondor logo and everything. I'm excited for Return of the King now. I mean, like, after the Fellowship of the Ring set, I was like, okay, they did a cool job with some of this. It's more Lord of the Rings.
Well, Desolation of Smog came out, but since I just spent that much money with Christmas coming up and everything, I'm not going to get any for a while. I'm also wondering if they're going to do a Target set for it since it's a movie set.
They probably will, because
the only
they did
thing's
with...
going to be they'll wait till the movie comes out. The movie's not coming out for a little while.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
It'll be like 3 weeks or so.
Overall, a good set if you're a Lord of the Rings fan. If you're not a Lord of the Rings fan, I wouldn't suggest picking these guys up because they're pretty expensive pieces.
Unless you're just going to get the horse.
Yeah. Secondary market, though, get yourself a Brago. Community. Question of the week was best Arkham Origins figure. Not like most powerful, just the best kind of force points. Actually, I think I did specify like force points. You think Deadshot's most force points?
I think he's a short dial, but having played against him on Saturday, I really like him. I think if a player played him effectively and ran him with the right support pieces, he's a powerhouse.
I haven't played against or with any of them yet, but just going objectively off the dials, I'm still sticking with Edward Nigma and Shiva. I think for their points, they're not.
That's a fair.
They're not hard, heavy hitting as Deadshot and Deathstroke, but I think for their points, they are the most efficient. As far as what I heard from everybody, I heard Deadshot and Deathstroke a couple times each. I heard Edward Enigma probably slight. He was probably the slight winner, and I heard Shiva a few times too. Other than that, that was about it. It was those four.
Yeah.
That were kind of the top ones.
Saw a lot of Bane Saturday.
Yeah, I saw some when we did the Soldier one too, because he had a Soldier keyword.
Yeah.
I think Corey was playing him. Somebody was playing him. TJ was playing him. Dial design. Week 2 scores are now up. We're going to talk about the dial that got the best score this week. Why don't you go ahead and go over your assignment?
My assignment was to give me a power armored character, a character that used technology to augment their abilities in like some sort of power suit or armor suit, kind of like Iron Man does. There were quite a few questions, and that was cool, guys. If you ever have any questions and stuff, feel free to ask. I shot down a few characters. I accepted a few. Overall, we got a lot of cool characters, though. I mean, like, I hadn't heard of half of these, and I went and researched them, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Overall, I did give out, like, when I did my personal judging, like, I handed out a lot of high scores. Like, you guys did really great here. There was some cool stuff.
This was actually the highest round of scores that I've ever given, because I gave 3 people 10s.
I'm trying to limit myself to 110 every round. Like, that's my... Unless, like, 2 of them are pulling at my heartstrings too hard. But there was an Adam that I really loved out of these.
Yeah, that one, the Adam is the one that got the top score. Like we said, there were several that got mixes of 10s and 9s between the 3 of us. So there were like 3 or 4 that got excellent scores. The Adam dial was 1 point ahead of those other ones.
Yeah, it was a hard one, guys. I love it when it comes down to this one. There's a lot of really good dials competing so neck and neck.
Adam's from Battering 96, who has, I think he's won. I don't remember if he won a best build or a dial design.
He's won something.
I can't remember if he won a best build or dial design, but he's won a contest for us before. The Adam has 84 points. He has a 19 defense and tiny size, which makes sense because when you got a person that's that small, they're going to be harder to hit.
Yeah.
Which is why Spider-Man's defense is also so high. I like when people put, not only give the right powers on pieces, but give the right numbers on pieces.
Yeah, I feel like Superman's and stuff
if it's
like
a
that
Hulk,
might be...
he shouldn't be a 20 defense.
He should be
a 17 who doesn't take much damage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He should be easy to hit, but not take
17 is special imperv.
The reason this Adam is so awesome is his trait. It's called I'm Going In. He can use stealth, give the Adam a power action, choose an adjacent character, and place him on its card. The character becomes the Adam's host. At any time during your turn, the Adam may evacuate, be placed in a square adjacent to his host. but can't be given a non-free action after doing so until the beginning of your next turn. If the Atom's host is KO'd, or if the Atom is the only remaining character on your force, he must immediately evacuate. The following item is in effect depending on whether the Atom's host is friendly or opposing. If they're friendly, he can use the power Micro Medicine at work. The Atom's host ignores opposing characters' exploit, weakness, and poison. At the beginning of your turn, you may heal the Atom's host of 1 damage if it has exactly 1 action token. Opposing, if the host is an opposing character, it's called Go 12 Rounds with your sinuses.
I laughed at that name when I first saw it. I was like, well done.
The Atom's host can't ignore pushing damage and cannot be healed. At the beginning of your turn, you may deal the Atom's host 1 unavoidable damage, but immediately after it, roll a d6. On a result of 1 or 2, the Atom must immediately evacuate. So, that is just... It does a good job of showing, when I gave my description for my score and why, it gives a good job of showing how a character like Ant-Man or the Atom can, when you've got Superman flying and punching freaking Lex Luthor or Darkseid in the face in a big Justice League showdown, how the Atom can actually really affect the game, but showing it well in Heroclix. Doing that kind of power is just it, and not only that, the friendly and the opposing versions also show the Atom's scientific prowess, which is kind of his thing. I mean, that's what he's known for.
Yeah, and the thing is, this could have been submitted as just the base vanilla dial and his attack power, and it'd be like, okay, that's cool. But the trait's the extra mile that goes so far. Like, this really sells me on this character. Like, while we're sitting here talking about this, I have 2-3 different teams I'd run this on already. I mean, there's cool ideas for it.
It's another version of what I was saying of making a character that has a creative power that shows you in clicks, lets you visualize in clicks how that would be in a comic book or a movie. Like how him going off of the table and onto their card and infecting them and causing damage without being seen. Yeah.
A big kudos to Battering 2 on wording it. Like, honestly, I was trying to, when I was judging some of these, I was like, some of these wordings are a bit, roughed up, kind of.
Oh, I have to...
There's a few of them we have to
translate. A lot of times it drives me crazy because I'll see all these little wording powers and I'm like, you couldn't do that, but I never take that into account. Even on this one, there's
it's just one of those things I like to compliment when you guys do it well.
Yeah, he usually does a good job of his rules wording.
Yeah, I couldn't find a hole in it, so
there's one that's not really a hole, but kind of a nitpick of mine was. Where was it? Give the Atom a power action and choose an adjacent character and place him on its card. It should need to say and place the Atom on the opposing character's card. Be more specific. But we don't give a crap about that. We know what you're saying.
We're just complimenting it.
We don't give a crap whether you guys make little things. It's not a big deal at all.
As long as we can read it.
Please
make it legible.
There's a thing called punctuation. It was invented a long time ago
by Albert Einstein.
Yeah, I believe you're right. I believe it was Albert Einstein.
Oh.
But anyways, so.
Great job, guys, overall. I mean, I thought this was going to be a hard one for you guys to pick some characters for. You guys really blew me away with some of your choices.
The top of the scores for this month are neck and neck. We got 2 guys at 56. We got 1 guy at 55. And we got a couple more guys at 54, I think. Yeah, so, I mean, anything can happen last round. Or we saw in the team-based round, somebody almost come from pretty far down and almost win on the last...
bold move, Cotton.
On the last second. That was a bold move, Cotton. So, Swagnito says, I don't know why, but I kind of dread Drew Week. It doesn't make much sense, considering the last one was the symbiote plus anything scenario, and that was one of my favorite best submissions. But I just think that he's that wild card. Who knows what he'll throw at us?
Well, guess what, it's not a Drew Week.
You don't have to worry about it, Swagnito, because I killed him. I took care of that for you. I figured you've been a loyal listener. I could do you a solid. and take out one of my best friends. No, Drew did give us his assignment Beyond the Grave. It was in his
Sucks
will.
to be you, buddy.
It was in his living will. He left it, his family some things, and then he said, Hunter, I want my dial design week 3 to be any DC villain in celebration of DC Villains Month and Forever Evil.
There were like 72 pages of expletive.
There were other boring things like Hunter killed me, and you can find the evidence.
If you find my body dead, it was Hunter and Austin. They want my possessions.
But the most important note was any DC villain, and he and we're gonna put the stigma on it like I did for our event. No. Oh yeah, you remember this one time that the Red Tornado got mind controlled by a calculator and was made to hogtie Superman. That means that he's a villain. No, the Red Tornado's a hero. We want classic
characters known as villains,
people that have known for the vast majority of their time in comics as villains, and it's DC only this week.
If you can't hold up a character and say this is not a hero,
if there's a debate, don't use it. That's pretty much. Yeah. If you don't know 100% in your head, just don't. There's tons of options, guys, for this. So
I don't know why you'd be trying to push the limits of this specific one.
This is probably the most wide open. Or the symbiote
mine's the most restrictive, and then this next one's one of the most wide open.
So we'll see. Any other community notes? Let's see. Oh, I've got a lot of people sending emails and responding saying they would enjoy a YouTube channel for our podcast. So I will look into that. I'll have to see how busy things are for work coming up, but I may be able to get one up this week as far as getting the channel up so that you guys can subscribe to it and be ready for when we get a lot of content on it.
The bombardment.
But yeah, we'll try to do some unboxings on there when we do get product. We'll try to do maybe some little reviews of specific powers. That's one thing that I got people asking questions about, and that's actually a good idea.
I would love to sit down and
kind of answering rules questions while showing it on a map. And I don't just mean generic, like how does energy explosion work, but I mean like specific situations. If you write me in a question, we can give the answer in video form.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna... Oh, also, Glass Cabinet Films, who I think I've plugged before on this podcast, it's one of the places that I actually learned most of my basics of Heroclix when he first started from his videos, and when I was first learning like little details on powers and stuff. Guys, check Glass Cabinet Films out on YouTube. He has lots of good resourceful videos that you guys need to check out for rules and stuff. But another reason I'm bringing them up is we'll be doing some work with them in the future as well. We're going to try to hook up some schedules and try to guest star on their stuff, and maybe in the future I can talk one of them and maybe see if I can talk Ryan into coming on our podcast or doing some kind of video chat or something. But yes, check out Glass Cabinet Films. Tons of PAC explaining powers and things like that. We're actually going to skip comics discussion this week, the Invincible Iron Man and the Marvel Now Iron Man, just because we're running short on time. We have a couple appointments we got to keep. But we will talk about them next week. Next week we will also...
Good, that gives me time to read what I was supposed to read for this week.
We'll also be reviewing Mage Knight, the main set. Drew will be back from the dead somehow. I'll figure it out. And
do we got to go pay a visit to Mephisto again?
Well,
no,
I
hate
still
that
owe him my... Well, we'll talk about that later. We'll be doing a Mage Knight review next week, and then the week after that we'll be doing Invincible Iron Man sealed review and give you guys some advice on Invincible Iron Man pieces that you should pick for when you do your AVX events.
And tear it up.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Dial H4 Heroclix. On Twitter, it's the number 4, and everywhere else it's spelled out. And email any questions to dialh4heroclix@gmail.com. Until next week, I'm Hunter.
I'm Austin.
See you guys.